Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We made a couple staff changes, and part of that, I did this last year, I'm doing it again this year, is serving as the defensive tackles coach. Phil Simpson and I are taking that on, and I tell the guys, hey, this is Coach Rule. This is Coach Rule, and then I put this hat on backwards. I'm just Matt, just coaching the guys, and so having a great time, man. Just got Riley Van Poppel in a black shirt today. He's really coming on, and we're really excited to be able to have that interaction with the players. That's what this hat means.
Free to shoot, gotta go. Deep three, buries it. Austin Schwartz knocks it down, corner. Slipping around to Dix from the wing. Back-to-back threes for the Blue Jays. Schwartz for three, bangs another one through. 7 out of 12 from distance, up and under. Wow. Whoa. This was a huge win for Greg McDermott, putting up 98 in hostile territory.
Yeah, dominated. Well, the ball moved, and that's the way Creighton basketball is supposed to be played. We made the extra pass. It was good to great all night. 31 assists on 38 field goals, and then on the other end, we did a good job of taking away their transition. They've been elite in the first 10 or 12 seconds of the shot clock, and we were able to slow that down.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. I'm Ravi Lulla. DB will be joining me shortly. He's got some dad duty to attend to for the first handful of minutes of the show, but he will be joining me shortly. So I wanted to take this time here and, obviously get a few minutes to kind of monologue here a little bit. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about because, as many of you know, that we don't get to what's on the rundown very often. So I thought, okay, I might have an opportunity here to get to a couple things that I really wanted to. And so I thought, okay, I've been waiting for a couple days to tear Joel Klatt a new one for saying that fans thought the NCAA basketball tournament sucked. So I want to get to that at some point. I thought to myself, okay, we could talk about Bud Crawford and his retirement, whether I'm kind of in the Matt Rule camp on this one. I'm not 100% sure I believe that I won't see Bud Crawford fighting in front of 90,000 people in Memorial Stadium one day, but, thought about, addressing the Bud Crawford retirement, kind of what he's meant to the city and everything like that. But I kept coming back to this idea that DB brought up and we've kind of talked about the last few days. And that's this sort of return on investment when you're talking about college football players, specifically Dylan Raiola with, the news of his transferring and the dollar amount that's out there that he was getting from Nebraska. And I was trying to figure out if Nebraska got good value for their investment. And as I was sort of trying to unwrap that, because there's a lot there, right? There's the on-field performance. There's the off-the-field attention, which could be positive or negative. There's the ripple effects that it could have both in high school and transfer portal recruiting. So there's a lot to kind of unpack there when you're trying to figure out, did Nebraska or any school for that matter get their money's worth when investing into these high dollar and highly touted players? And so I sort of had to figure out what I thought we were getting, right? In order to get a good sense of whether or not you got good value for your money, I think you have to start with what you expected to get for your money, right? You're shopping for a house or whatever, and you go, okay, that's good value for my money. This is what I expect to get to buy with this amount of money for a house, and your expectations kind of change on the dollar amount based on what you think that dollar amount is worth. So obviously you hear numbers, whether they're accurate or not, I really don't know. The only people that really know are Dylan, probably his family, and whoever was signing the checks at Nebraska. So that, the numbers are speculation, but they are what they are. They're what's out there. So I have to ask myself, what do I think a $3.5 million quarterback should be worth? Sorry, not should be worse. And I think in our heads, and you guys are going to give me a hard time for this because I've brought this guy up in the past, but I think in our heads, when we think of what you should get for a 5-star quarterback, I think we think basically of what Trevor Lawrence brought to the table for Clemson, right? Starts right away, is good right away. You get a national title. You get a huge amount of production. #1 overall draft pick, and then whatever happens in the NFL happens in the NFL, right? That's what I think our minds go to when we think of return on investment for a 5-star, $3 or whatever $1 million quarterback. Because make no mistake, Trevor Lawrence in an NIL era would have made however many $1 million. And so I sit there and I go, okay, is that realistic? And so, you know me, every once in a while I'll go through these deep dives of recruiting rankings and guys that were in similar classes in terms of their status as Dylan was coming out. And I got to be honest with you guys, I was pretty stunned by what I found. And I do need to make a distinction here. So for a long time in recruiting rankings, they would make a distinction between pro style and dual threat quarterbacks. Some years they do, some years they don't. Well, I've been going off of 24/7. It looks like it's kind of intermittent, to be honest. Up until like 2014, they always did it. And then from, they had a little gap there. And then it looked like all the way up until 2020, they did it. And now they don't do it anymore. So I tried to focus only on pro-style quarterbacks because, as we know, Dylan was not a great runner. So even when they stopped doing it, I sort of separated those guys mentally myself. But going back to 2019, and honestly, you can go back further than that, and this still holds up. I think there are way more misses in the caliber of quarterback that Dylan is than we realize. And so, I'll go back to 2019. Spencer Rattler got benched at Oklahoma, ended up going to South Carolina, had an okay career, ends up being I think, 5th-round draft pick, right? I think you would look at Spencer Rattler and say absolutely did not get return on investment there. The next guy in that class, this is a 2019 class. Next guy in that class, Ryan Helinski. Exactly. Graham Mertz. We all know how that went. Talia Tagovailoa, not Tua, Talia, who went to Alabama, transferred, played at Maryland, had a nice career at Maryland. Don't think anybody goes, hey, that's a top 5 quarterback in the country. And then Dylan Morris. Again, that's a who. Those are the top 5 guys from 2019. From 2020, top 5 pro-style guys. DJ Uiagalelei, we all know how that went. He was bad at 3 different schools. CJ Stroud, hit. 100% worth whatever they could have paid him or didn't pay him allegedly. That's right before NIL. 100% hit right. Okay? He's number 2 in the class. Number 3, Harrison Bailey. Who? Number 4, Ethan Garbers. I remember the name. Number 5 in that class is Carson Beck, who I am higher on than most and still don't think if you're looking at Carson Beck as, hey, that's my $3.5 million guy. I don't think Georgia fans feel good about that. I certainly don't think Miami fans feel good about that. Next year, Quinn Ewers, that's a hit. 5-star. You go to a national championship game with Quinn Ewers, the college football playoff with Quinn Ewers. By the way, though, he also transferred. Started at Ohio State, ends up at Texas. So that's a 0 hit rate for Ohio State. Good hit rate for Texas. Take that for what you will. Caleb Williams, absolute hit, right? Heisman winner. But again, you think Oklahoma feels like they got return on their investment for Caleb Williams? Or you think USC did? And even at USC, you think USC won as much as they thought they should with Caleb Williams at quarterback? That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Next guy on the list, Sam Heward. Okay. Drake May. Great. Probably better in the NFL than he was in college. North Carolina probably feels like they got return on their investment there. But did they win as much as they thought they probably should with Drake May? I don't know. I'd have to ask. So this is probably one of the better classes. You have Brock Vandegrift, who is nowhere to be found, and then J.J. McCarthy. So I would say you've got 3 to 3.5 full hits in the 2021 class. That's probably the best class you'll have because the next one you've got Drew Aller. I actually think Penn State fans feel a lot about Drew Aller the way some of the fans that were kind of questioning Dylan Raiola during the course of the year felt about him, where you go, it feels like it should be a little bit better than this. There's a lot of buts with Drew Aller, and obviously that career at Penn State didn't end the way it wanted it to. Cade Klubnik, nobody at Clemson feels good about that transaction. Connor Wegman at Texas A&M, now at Houston, everybody's forgotten about him. Now Ty Simpson, he's a hit. And then you've got Devin Brown at Ohio State, who's a total miss. And you want to keep going for Walker Howard after that. So you're talking about 1 and 5 in that class. It looked like 1 and 5 in the first couple before that, before the 2021 class, which was a hit. You go 2022, it's Arch Manning, who is in year 3, finally starting, and then second half of year 3 looks good. Then you got Nico. You got Dante Moore, who is not at the place that he signed at and took 3 years. You have Jackson Arnold, total bust. Malachi Nelson, one of the bigger busts we've had in a long time. Jaden Rashada has, I don't think, ever seen the field. Aiden Childs will be on his 3rd school next fall. This is the, and then you got the last couple years, right? Which it's hard to get a good sense on return for investment in the last couple years. But I think we had this idea in our head, and not that we shouldn't have, right? You pay that much money, you should get something in return. But I think we had this idea of what a 5-star quarterback gets you. And if you want to look at these teams and the ones that actually succeed, kind of like DB was saying yesterday, unless you've got the things around them in place, a 5-star quarterback doesn't get you much. It just doesn't. You can go through as many classes as you want. And the hit rate on guys, even at good schools, but the hit rate on guys that turn out to be the thing we think a 5-star quarterback should be, which again, I think our prototype, whether we verbalize it or not, is basically Trevor Lawrence. We think you get a 5-star, it should look like Trevor Lawrence looked like, right? Until you've got all your ducks in a row besides that, I don't think that's realistic. Now, there's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks that change the face of people's programs and things like that. My point is, a lot of them don't look like the prototype that we think they do. And here's the other dirty little secret that I'm doing some anecdotal evidence on, but I don't think I quite have enough to share yet, is when it's a pro-style quarterback and not a dual threat, the hit rate's actually much, much lower. Because you're probably thinking of guys like a Bryce Young and guys like that where you're like, oh, yeah, but this guy, Bryce Young, dual threat quarterback. Caleb Williams, dual threat quarterback. Think of the guys, some of the guys that were hits in these classes. They are in these past classes. A lot of those guys are dual threat quarterbacks, especially the ones that play well early. I'm not saying you should abandon pro-style quarterbacks, but especially in today's game, it seems like the hit rate on those guys that can't help out their teams in another way besides just dropping back and throwing the ball, it seems like their hit rate is incredibly, incredibly low. And I don't know if that's an evaluation issue. I don't know if that's a system issue. What I do know is it's possible. I would agree that Nebraska did not get on-field good return on investment for Dylan Raiola. I do think nationally people paid attention to Nebraska in a way that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. Now, that wasn't always positive with the weird Patrick Mahomes stuff and whatever. And, you know, especially this year, broadcasts were really loving that low-hanging fruit. But if you want to talk off the field, if you want to talk recruiting, I do think he may have helped out raising the profile for Nebraska in recruiting. Coach Rule has intimated that. He made Nebraska a cool place to come again. So maybe you look at that as return on investment. But if you're talking about on the field, it's not just a Dylan Raiola thing. Almost no 5-star quarterback gets you the return on your investment on the field unless you've already got a program that's kind of rolling. We'll take a quick break here. DB will join me next. It's Hurrdat Sports Live right here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
That's a tough question. You get the best available. You know, I mean, is it a pocket guy? Is it a dual threat guy? Is it a, more of a runner? You look at the overall body of work, and it's just so different now. We're actively like watching quarterbacks and have been watching quarterbacks to try to make those decisions. We got a whole personnel department that's been doing it, and it's every position, and those guys have been doing that for months, and so then it's just about looking and seeing what's available and, my job's to evaluate it. My main job is to coach TJ and the rest of the offense to get us ready to go play in a bowl game. That's number one on my list, and so then, after the game's over, we'll come back and that portal will open up on the 2nd, and it's going to get kind of crazy for a couple weeks.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I think everybody knows, like, today's day and age, everybody has to do what they think is what's best for themselves. So, what Dylan had to do was him and his family believe was best for himself. So, everybody here is, no hard feelings. Everybody knows the business today's age of college football. So everybody's super excited for him to go out there and do what's best for him. And, this team will continue to move forward with what they have to do in the future. Yeah, I think the rally around TJ started when Dylan got hurt. It doesn't really, nothing really changed. Everybody still knew TJ was going to be the quarterback for the bowl game, so nothing really changed in that aspect. So everybody's still been rallying around TJ, no matter what the circumstances is now.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I think all of our fans, I think all of our staff or coaches, we all just have to embrace it. We're in the portal era.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Heisman Trophy ceremony the other night, and Diego Pavia is a great player. He's a portal ad. Francisco Mendoza is a great player. He wins it. He's a portal ad. The portal's just a natural part, and so. I think there's been a little bit of anxiety around here, like who's going to go in the portal, who's going to go in the portal. The portal will giveth and the portal will taketh away. And it's just the new normal. We have to embrace it. That's why Troy Dannon has done such a great job of making sure that we have the resources needed to go get the players we want and also to keep the players that we want. Dylan made his decision, and Dylan did a great job for us, right? He was really the first 5-star to come here and signaled everybody, hey, it's cool to come to Nebraska. And I think you've seen some players follow suit. Dylan did a great job for us, got us to back-to-back bowl games, which, being bowl eligible back-to-back years hasn't happened since 2013, 2014. So I think those are the years. That's 10, 11 years. So really grateful to Dylan for all that he did. And, if he needs a fresh start, I'm going to pray that he finds the right place. He has so much success. with that being said, there's a lot of great quarterbacks out there, and a lot of guys want to play at Nebraska. And the minute that news hit, my phone started blowing up, and that news was kind of out there for a while, right? People were preparing for that.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Want to remind you real quick about our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical. We've got some exciting news for Next Gen coming up here in the new year. But in the meantime, they've got me feeling great. I know DB's feeling good as well. There's like half our office, I think, is over there now. I just
was there yesterday.
I think like half of the people we work with are just like, oh, yeah, we got to sign up as well. It's 402-614-9700. If you give them a call, I got to tell you, I was struggling before to play or work out like twice a week. Just you get sore, you know?
Yeah.
I'm playing tennis like 4 times a week now, and it's not even phasing me anymore.
So I figured out what time it is too, because it's when you don't answer the phone. And I'm
because I almost always do.
Yeah.
When you call, I almost always answer.
Okay, so you're later afternoon, early evening. Tennis guy?
Most of the time. Yeah. Sometimes I'll go late, like 8 to 9:30.
Yeah, I'm not calling you that.
Yeah, I didn't figure.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, so for me, it's usually that stretch between, getting Zoe from school.
Yeah.
So around between 3:45 and 5, because I may call you with an AirPod in or something in the kitchen. But outside of that, that's. But it's and it never works.
Yeah, if I don't answer, that's almost always why.
Hey,
playing tennis.
Got done playing tennis. What's up, man? Hey, what's up, man? Nothing.
What's up, DB?
I don't even know what so you know why I called yesterday originally? I wanted 20 more bucks, but you didn't answer.
Oh.
And I didn't want to do it over text.
Yeah, fair.
Because I was like, he's gonna talk me down. But I was gonna take Creighton outright.
So
would you have taken be honest, would you have taken the $20 bet
outright?
With Creighton?
No. Not outright. I would have made you give me points.
You were getting them. You were getting 4.
Yeah, I would have probably, because you were so confident earlier. Like when you just text the group and you're like, they're winning tonight, right? And I was like, and I'm.
Nobody, you guys didn't believe me.
No, I didn't. I thought they had a shot because
it was only 4.
I know, but when Matt comes out and says, "Hey, I finally have some guys I think I can play," that gave me a little bit of hope that maybe they've got a shot again. And I thought Xavier was a little inflated, the 5 games in a row. I'm not a huge Richard Pitino guy.
So you guys were not arguing, but
I wasn't. That was mostly JP and Matt.
Over the prowess of Pitino. I still think he'll have a positive uptick.
I agree.
That's a tough job, in my opinion.
I think it's harder than people think. The name is better than the job has been.
I don't know. I always get into how we set the tone of the expectation levels of the fan base versus what the program's capable of.
That's what I was just talking about with DR.
I missed that.
The expectations set.
I don't really want to talk about him, though, but that's fine.
Well,
Go ahead.
But I think expectations.
Carolina Blue, too, by the
way. I did that just for you.
Tim Johnson, boy, it is spinning. Fibonacci.
I
wonder what Tim Johnson is doing now. Action Jackson, can you Google Tim Johnson, fired Blue Jays manager, and see what he's doing now?
I think the expectations that are set have a lot to do with how we experience things, right? So the expectations at a Xavier, I do think are probably outsized for what that program currently is in the landscape of college basketball. I think the expectations at Creighton are reasonable based on what we know financially has been committed to that program, right?
Yeah, let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to move on. I'm going to get you to the Dylan thing.
Oh, I already did my Dylan thing. We don't have.
Oh, you were talking about rate of return.
I was talking about return on investment. And I got there by saying you can't really decide what your return on the investment is until you know what you expected to get for that investment.
Yeah, so boy, that is tricky. Because
I'm all ears on it.
Let me get to this. Let me ask you this question real quick. So I asked more probable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yesterday, yeah.
Creighton to be meddling, middle of the pack-ish, Big East, or Nebraska top 25 basketball. for the remainder of the season?
Yeah.
Would you like to re-answer the question?
No,
You
because
think Creighton is closer to being who they are right now?
I think Creighton is still closer to being middling.
Okay.
Than and listen, again, mentally, when you first asked that question, I was thinking Nebraska more top 10, top 15.
Oh, they're top
because
15 now.
Right.
So let's just say, will Nebraska be a top 25 program this year, top 20?
Yeah.
Longer than Creighton will be middling. Who's more like they are now?
I actually do think this is who Nebraska is.
Okay.
So that's really hard. Because
did you listen to Katz? We're getting him after the first of the year because I talked to him, Shane.
Well, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna try.
He's crunch. He is crunch.
We're gonna try.
Yeah. No, that's why.
He is crunch. He said, he's like, hey, I was gonna give you guys 7-10 minutes, and I was like, what are we gonna talk about?
I was like, we won't get past introductions.
So, did you see his TikTok day before yesterday?
Huh.
He was intimating. He was talking about surprise. Guess what hype train he's on?
Who? Nebraska?
What hype train am I always on? And they forever disappoint me. And no, not the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh no, I was gonna say Texas Tech.
It's in college basketball. I just talked about him yesterday, and I said I'm finally gonna get off. Too soft. Too soft.
Oh, Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's on the Illinois hype train.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, careful.
I've never been on just because I don't trust Brad Underwood. I never have.
I was like, do I get back on? But no, I'm just playing.
Like at no point have I looked at that and he's done different iterations of this thing.
Yeah.
At no point have I been like,
he's on.
That's a well-coached team.
He's like, I'm telling you, sure as I'm sitting here, this is gonna shock you. If Nebraska's on the 7-10 line, they can be in the Sweet 16.
Oh no, I buy that.
It was just of all the things that he could talk about.
Yeah, I buy that. Honestly, I think
he was given surprise teams that he believes in.
So I think I think if Nebraska ends up on a 7-10 line, I actually think that's low, seeding wise. Yeah. I think they've got a real shot at a top 6 seed.
It was fascinating. His thought process.
Like I was kind of looking through their schedule. What's that?
Did you miss me?
Always.
I don't need affirmation. I was just checking.
I was looking through their schedule and kind of going through KenPom and stuff, and I kind of landed on and this was I went through the schedule and landed on this number, and then I looked and KenPom actually had the exact same projected record, which I know is kind of flimsy, but it is what it is. I kind of landed on 24-7 as a realistic record for them at this point, and I think 24-7 in the Big Ten gets you much better than a 7 seed.
24-7
would be phenomenal,
would be incredible.
But they only have to go. That's only 11-7 in league play, which is not crazy.
Do you know how hard it is for me to just be patient and reserved because it wasn't like a knockdown drag out, but it was a bit of a tiff. When I said, no, you can clearly see what they're trying to do, and you go, can you?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is what they want to do, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, man.
So part of it for me,
no, it was just late summer bickering.
Yeah. Well, and I like to be a jerk.
And we were crabby going into Kansas City.
I look at the way the roster's been put together, and they're much better shooters than I thought they were going to be.
So I think,
and Sanford's way better.
Now that's the part I knew.
Yeah, that was sort of your cheat code for this team.
Yeah.
I
had two.
Yeah,
I had two.
Sanford was a huge one because he's way better than I thought he was.
So I always thought, but the other one was what the guys that follow the basketball team knew.
Sure.
Frager's a dog.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Frager's a dog.
I'll be honest, I only saw him once in high school, I think, because I told
you about those games. I
don't get to link it a lot. Yeah,
watch it. And we were watching, and he's Robin has a little Padilla to him.
Like he's pretty dialed.
I mean, spiral binder.
Got the stats, the whole thing.
Like old school pencil.
Yeah, like the number 2.
I was like, okay, Robin.
Yeah,
but I've always liked Robin.
Frager's gonna be way good, and he's better now than I thought he would be.
So if those guys what do I always think about? Mentality. Will you go eat when the dinner bell rings?
Yeah,
that's all I care about.
And that's the thing that Creighton hasn't had.
And so they have 3 of those guys for sure.
Frager,
Sam I Am, Frager,
And Sanford.
And Price.
Yeah.
So,
and see, this is the thing Nick Baugh talked about. Price being like that is, I want to say, way more valuable than Sam being like that.
Because Price is
just better.
Perceived the better player.
He's just better, right? Like that's, and what did we ask him? Hey, if your best players are like that, he's like, well, it certainly helps.
Do you want to know how much I liked Price Sanford?
Yeah.
I snuggled close to his parents as a total stranger.
Just saddled on up.
I wanted to know what made him tick. Yeah. Because I saw his older brother slice Bellevue West up a couple of years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I was at that game at Bell West. So I knew he was a killer.
Yeah.
I knew his older brother was a killer.
Yeah.
And so they're so unassuming. His dad's got these smart glasses on, it's angular, and they're always together. And so, I sit my seat up close. And I would do it with each tournament game.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I'm not looking.
You're like a little kid, like there's a treat on the counter.
And I'm like, hey, listen, man, I love sports. I like high school sports. I've done this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a couple questions? I promise you. Like, that's how it went down.
Yeah.
And I just used to watch him, and we were playing against elite level guys.
Mm-hmm.
Elite.
Yeah, you're on the shoe circuit. You're like doing the big one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're doing the 4-star, 5-stars, the whole thing. Yeah.
And he just enjoyed giving it to guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he could put it on the deck. He was really crafty finishing around the rim.
Which for a guy that's that athletic in high school, a lot of those guys don't end up with the bag.
So, but you know what? It's funny. He has ridiculously long arms.
Yeah,
you don't really pay attention. So, like when he
guys with long arms
when
around
he
the rim,
towards the rim,
yeah,
he's very good with his body. He can absorb contact. So I was like, why is Iowa using him like this?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
And we didn't get into it, but remember the whole Dix versus Sanford when they landed at respective schools in the group chat?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Price is what Nebraska needs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think if he's going to play like this, he's what everybody needs.
We went to a showcase in Missouri. And they only picked a handful of guys from each high school around the region.
Mm-hmm.
It was at this I can't remember the school. It's popular now.
Mm-hmm.
It's way on the other end of Kansas City. It's off like out in the sticks, but it's amazing. It looks like a campus. This dude, man, I think he was like the best player in the gym.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Certainly in the conversation.
And I was just like, this guy's pretty good. And so, like when I was talking about Nebraska, and I was fresh off of being with, I say that, I spent some time with Coach Hoiberg.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of figured, what do they need to fit his personality?
Sure.
Like I'd say this about Coach Rule. If Coach Rule gets the key to his success, I'm telling you, it's not the 5-star quarterback. It's not the pretty wide receiver. It's not the uber tough DB. If Coach Rule gets just the mentality of some dogs up front, it changed the trajectory of the program. They don't even have to be 10, 12 tiffles a game or, a year or, 18 pancakes a game. Just the mentality.
Yeah.
Because the less he has to do that, infuse that, and the more he can do the other stuff, the better that team will be. Because every coach, so what's Coach Mack really good at? He's good at the strategy, the X's and O's, the nuances. So when he has things that accentuate where he's not that don't fit his personality, just imagine that combination.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So when he gets guys to get after it and really work hard, where he doesn't have to set that barometer, where he just gets to teach. See, Coach Hoiberg doesn't have to teach competitiveness at practice.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Those guys play like the free world hates them. And Coach Hoiberg is like the nicest dude on the planet. So it goes like Coach Lenz and those guys who are just – Coach Lenz is a fantastic person.
Yeah.
He's mean-spirited.
Do you know what he kind of reminds me of
Nate?
a little bit?
Who?
I feel like there's a little D-Rock in there.
Man, you said it. I didn't. D-Rock's like that too.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, D-Rock is just as soon you.
Like I haven't interacted.
I would agree with that.
I didn't interact with D-Rock a ton.
Nate's a dog.
But he was always super good to me whenever we did interact. But you can tell, like, he will MF a guy at the drop of a hat.
Nate's a dog.
And,
was that Michigan Lance or Bulk Dog Lance?
Bulk Dog.
I'll have him call right back.
Yeah, tell him call back. We apologize.
I talked to him all morning yesterday.
Mm.
I was waiting in the parking lot at Next Gen.
Yeah.
There were too many people in there.
Yeah, you want to wait till it slowed down a little bit?
And I was like,
It's the problem when you're good at what you do. People want to come.
Well, and I have the same shtick.
What do you mean?
Oh, ask the girls when you get there.
Okay.
They roll their eyes.
They'll be like, what's DB's deal?
They just point. Get to room 2. Get to room 2.
Yes, ma'am.
He's gonna say something slick.
You just keep on stepping.
Dude, my oxygen. So back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
I'm 138 over 91.
Okay.
And 140 over 101.
Oof, that's a little elevated. Need to de-stress a little bit, my guy.
Good.
Let's bring it on down.
Well, Adam, one day was the
Yeah.
I don't know what yesterday was.
Just stressing.
I think getting Zoe to the airport tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot. You know
just operating in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, she's like, you know how they are. She's like, what are you doing? Like, that's how she talks to me. Like, I don't know. Like, you supposed to fix me?
You're like, you tell me.
Then it just gets into
tell me.
Then it just gets into a back and forth. I need to tell Lance I'm going to tell Lance to call back. He might be going to work. He has a real job now.
He wanted to talk a little return on investment, so we'll see what he's got to say there. But I did think, I know you didn't want to get to Dylan too much, but I did think one thing that Coach Rule said yesterday was really, really interesting.
Uh-oh.
And Shane played it.
God, we got a Johnny Be Good, or I should say Jose. Can I call Jose Bueno Joe Good?
You should. It'd be better if it was Juan Bueno, because then it would be Johnny Be Good.
Well, isn't Jose Joe?
Yeah, but you said Johnny Be Good. If it was Juan, that would be John. Johnny Be Good.
I know, but I want Joe Be Good.
Why?
Because it's Jose Bueno.
I like Joe Boo. He says yes, you can. There you go. You're good.
And my man Juan's in already.
Yeah, Juan was in the chat already. We got everybody. We got Joe Boo talking Husker wrestling.
Oh, that's my dude.
Yeah,
I can't wait to. So if you see me Sunday, like, holler at your boy.
And Joe Boo, I think we're gonna talk some wrestling on Monday. I think.
Oh, the recap.
Yeah, with if we can get Jess.
Shane,
she's on.
Oh, we have Jess. There we go.
Did you hear that child post show yesterday?
No, I did. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I'll
Guess
do
what?
it, but only because Shane asked.
Guess what? Guess what Jessica said?
Yeah.
Guess what Jessica? I was like, what now?
DJ in the chat.
Did you feel good about that? Shane? Was your chest? You're like a little
puffing
peacock.
out a little bit. I got to be extra mean to you on Friday, so she knows.
I've got a bone to pick with Robbie.
Don't be messing with Shane.
You need to be nicer to Shane.
Nah, I don't. Nah,
that ain't happening.
I feel okay about how things have gone.
Shane said not to be on delay. The Howard the Duck thing.
All right, have a good day. Bye, Shane.
The Howard the Duck thing had me in stitches.
Man,
I don't know how many editions of comics you know.
And then he just goes, I'm not a big fan. It's, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know a lot
of
of
the comic book, yeah.
You know a lot about something you're not a big fan of. That's all I'm saying.
Not necessarily a big fan of the movie.
Okay.
So
comic book more.
I don't know that anybody's a big fan of that movie. I think that was like a historical flop.
What do I call Lance in my phone? Why can't he just
Bulk
come
Dog?
up as Lance?
You probably got him in there as Bulk Dog, if I had to guess.
No, I've known him since he's like 8 years old.
I did not know that. I do think. Oh, that's why you give him so much leeway.
Yeah, totally
nonsense.
Yeah, he was a kid.
Cut the cord.
He was a kid.
Cut it.
He's come a long way. Yeah, I need to hit.
Keep on coming, Lance. We got a ways to go still.
So Jose, he said he was student teaching that in Nebraska, so many students in New York couldn't pronounce bueno. So I was Mr. Good to many students. That is all. See,
now he's in Southern California.
That's why I got the exclamation points with the yes. He's just Jose Good.
Probably
bueno.
Probably have a better shot in Southern California for them to get bueno right.
Yeah. Apparently, my fleeting, very quick moment of going into character with Mumbai was frowned upon.
By who?
Oh, I don't know. Probably was inappropriate.
You don't have any other Indian friends? Who was mad?
How do I Mumbai?
You have to,
I don't want to say it with any.
You don't have to say it with like the colonizers would. Come on, man.
Oh shoot! So I think the rate of the return on investment when you shop in the portal is what that's what it's all going to be about.
So here's my question though.
It's just like hiring coaches. So when you bring in 2 O-line guys like you did, your ROI immediately with who's come. I mean, you're talking about a top 20 SEC recruiter, and he was at South Carolina. A top 20 SEC recruiter, and he was at South Carolina. So whatever you're paying him is you're probably assuming a good ROI with who comes with it.
100%.
Now I do think Dylan is tricky though.
It is because there's more than on-field stuff.
You got a lot of other things with it.
You got a lot of on-field. You got a lot of off-field stuff there, and I think Coach Rule said this in the clip right before the part that I think is super interesting. But he talked about, he's really the first 5-star to come here. He made it a place that other people wanted to be, and that there is value there, and that's hard to quantify. Like that's really hard to put a number to and say he threw for this many yards and this many touchdowns and won this many games, right? The quantification of this is what he was worth in recruiting is really tricky. The quantification of this is what he was worth in positive media attention is really tricky, right? Like I wonder if some of these, if Colorado last year, is that a night NBC primetime game without the Dion and Dylan part of it all? I don't know. Maybe the Nebraska-Colorado is enough. But I don't know for sure that he wasn't part of that equation.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that's really difficult to try and wrap your head around.
He said, how about a D-line? Soon, TK, soon. So,
I mean, we talked about Lonnie Teasley. Jeep Wade is considered an incredible recruiter as well, and top 5 overall O-line coach in the country. Like got a couple of those guys where the ROI should be pretty high.
So the funny thing about the interviews for Sports Nightly and Liquid, if you could please play the clip. God, I gotta delete one of your text strands because people don't understand. Shane, play clip 3, please.
Yeah, we're going to do both. We're in a position now where we can do both. We want to develop our own players. We want guys to burst on the scene the way Emmett Johnson did. We want guys to take that step and all of a sudden, hey, look at that guy. Emmett went from a rotational player as a sophomore 2 years ago, as a redshirt freshman, to a rotational starter last year, to an All-American this year. And that's EJ. That's Dana. That's Corey. That's Mitch. That's Chris. That's all the people that work with the players. But we also want to go out and get Isaiah Hunter, Sierra Wright. We also want to go out and get players in the portal that can help us. And so our job is to put together just the most competitive team full of great players. And guys can't be afraid of that. They have to want to be one of the best. As I said to them at the end of the game at practice today, this is Nebraska. This is Nebraska. That means something. And so we want to get the best players in the country. So we'll develop our own, but we're also going to attack the portal when the portal opens to get the right couple of guys that can get us over the hump.
That's the thing. So it's a supplement thing. So just because they have the money doesn't mean I think that they're going to spend it. Oh, we got Lance back?
Yeah, we just got him back.
All right, I don't want to. He might have to go to his important job. Let's get to Lance.
Lance, what's going on, man?
Lance, you on the clock or what, bud?
Not quite yet, but getting there. Hey, guys. Yes, I've known DB since I was a really young kid when where I went to school put me in a group of kids that like to misbehave. So I've been a little cagey ever since. So
yeah, naughty. How about Ravi going, oh, that's why you give him so much leeway.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Absolutely. What's up, my man?
Hey, guys, I think speaking regarding Dylan, I think we've had a positive return on investment. I don't know.
I agree.
Whether you're 2.1 or 3.5, when you look at the level of recruit that he helped us get just open doors to. I think, Damon, you and I had talked about, hey, sometimes a kid has to be open to being recruited by your school. Over the years, we can look at, David Sanders, or we can look at Baker at Texas, or Frazier at Georgia, and you can look at, Ryan, what's his name, at Texas. I mean, Tennessee's other starting tackles, the Lance Hurrdat. There's just been a lot of guys that came in here, including some guys on our current team, like Nebraska Hunter, who said, hey, I wanted to play with a quarterback of that caliber. I think you can say, hey, maybe this relationship has ran its course, but also say, hey, man, this is our first back-to-back bowl seasons in what, like a decade, and the first bowl game in a decade. Now, when you talk about return on investment, everyone talks about compound interest. The sad part of the story is we won't get to see what that compound looks like. And if he makes a jump similar from freshman to sophomore to junior, we're going to think, hey, what we poured into him is what he's getting out now. But that being said, I think you can probably look at the relationship with a bunch of the parties involved and say, hey, it's probably good that we go our own ways. And now for the next quarterback, whether that be Latif or a transfer, they can say, hey, all these pieces are kind of in place for me to come in and just be the guy. I don't have to get other recruits to come visit because, I'm the star of the show. And so I think, maybe at 3.5 would be a little high, but at 2, I think you're probably, you're looking at it and saying, well, DJ Lagway got 3.8 and Fox's Raiola got 2 or 2.1. And I would say, hey, man, he earned every bit of that, and good luck with where he goes. And, I'm a big Minchie guy in the portal. So let's see where we can get this thing going, guys. It'll be positive.
Hey, listen, I got 2 quick questions for you. 2 quick ones. If there was if you envision how you want Nebraska to look in 2026, and you're like, I want them to look like this, which game this past season do you think had the most impact on that?
Man, that's a tough question. I think everyone in the room probably goes, well, UCLA, because it looks so good in that first half, but I can look at it and say UCLA wasn't very good on defense this year. And so I think, gosh, that's a tough question.
I get Minnesota being an easy answer, and I wouldn't fight you over that.
Yeah, offensively, I think, man, I look at games like Northwestern and Michigan State where I think, like, man, our guys didn't give up. If we could play with that level of
tenacity,
competitiveness, tenacity, then I think, man, you could win a lot of football games. Now, it wasn't always pretty in those games, but those games showed things that past teams didn't. The Minnesota game is a good one. I don't know. That game to me is also an anomaly because I've watched that game and I think I think I know who Minnesota is, and I think, how did it go that?
Yeah. They just. I think it wasn't. I agree with you. We've never even talked about that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
No, we haven't. Yeah, and I don't know. There's the other stuff that's out there regarding Penn State. I don't know how. I don't think that really played into it, but maybe it did. But
I'm not on the Penn State. I'm not on the Penn State thing. So I'm probably going to agree with you there. Let me ask you one more question. Do you think, as a fan, you're everywhere, right? You eyes, ears, the pulse of the message board world. Is the fan base, is your sphere of influence? Do they care about how it looks in terms of scheme, or do they just want to win?
I think they care about how it looks.
So they just want it to be okay, go ahead.
So, and I think sometimes that scheme plays a part into that, but they really want a mobile quarterback. And I really try to get people, when they say that, to tell me what it is that they want about that mobile quarterback. And so,
because you still better be able to play catch or what? Like,
yeah,
what do you mean?
Because you got to, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be able to play catch. Now, I would like a guy that could step in the pocket and instead of being negative in rushing yards, maybe come out with a few hundred rushing yards, but there has to be some form of a threat there. And part of that is on the coaches of willing to put that player in that position. Some of that's on the athlete themselves. But, I was watching that Michigan State game, and a guy that has known more football and his family knows more football than I will ever know, sent a text message that said, hey, guys, this win that we have here in Nebraska, this is why it would be nice to have a mobile quarterback. Uh-huh. And I thought, you know what? Probably right. You're probably not in a dogfight if you have a guy that has a little bit of action in his legs. And so
you want to type, not necessarily a name when quarterbacks hit. Okay, because if that's the case, and I know, I would say that you're in the neighborhood. Lots and lots and lots of names that fit the type of quarterback that you're talking about that would be interested in Nebraska.
Yep. And my thing is, I felt really good when Holgorsen came out and finally said it. I was waiting for someone in the Vatican to put the white or black smoke out and say, hey, in the future, because up until that point, we didn't say, hey, we want a mobile quarterback. We said we want to run the ball with running back run game. Now that it's out there, I feel better of like, okay, maybe they're really going to do this. And then we can go get that guy, as opposed to, hey, we hired Jeep Wade, who ran the ball at Georgia Tech, and we hired this guy but then we never had anything from a power position saying, hey, guys, we really are going to do this.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't need to be every play, but man, you got to have at least a presence there that has that running game. And I've followed the Raiola recruiting from a really younger than most people, right? I remember the clip of him as a catcher, as a young baseball prospect at 13 years old, where this is going to be the guy. And I had a conversation with someone at that time that said, Raiola's biggest issue is his genetics, is we're going to turn a guy that's dad and uncle and grandfather were big guys into a quarterback. And I still think that's going to be his problem going forward. Now, if he was a tight end, maybe we wouldn't have that issue, but I think that's his biggest hurdle going forward is, genetically, his body is predisposed to want to be a big guy. And I think that's a fight that he's going to fight for a really long time, and a fight that he and his dad probably had.
You know what's funny? His dad would tell you the exact same thing. He knows that's going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to, I think he's got an arm, but I think I'm hoping he can improve on the things that he needs to, the footwork, the stepping up in the pocket, making faster decisions. If I think I messaged you this, but man, a redshirt year of him just studying the position, it's not going to happen, but would do him like a Dante Moore, I think, really, really well. So.
All right, buddy. Lance, appreciate the call.
Hey, thanks, guys.
I told you he's smart.
I like Lance on the phone. I like Lance on the phone.
I get it. He is super. He's just naughty.
I like him in person. I like him on the phone. The only place I don't like him is on the internet.
He's just naughty.
I need people to be more like they are in real life on the internet.
You should watch him with he's a good dad. He's just naughty.
No, every time we actually talk to him, I like him.
Hey, you need to talk to that guy that knows a lot about football and get me that red vest. I think I've earned it. Fudge.
So can I just
yeah, you're going to give some pushback. Are we?
No, not on.
Is this the quarterback the way that it looks? Can I just say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, because I better wait because I don't want the whole Kool-Aid thing. Even though I have a ton of resolve, because people get mad. Oh, too much football talk. It's too smart. I don't know how to say dumb words. I'm sorry. I apologize. I like complete sentences.
It's okay to say something positive.
Zip it. How about this dude with his hat on backwards? He was fresh off the practice
Yeah.
field.
No, I was just, and I don't want to put you in an awkward spot here. So if you just want to sit back for a second, you can. But
this ought to be good.
The more that I feel
Say,
like,
what do we get? What are we thinking?
I feel like
First down, Huskers.
I feel like Brian Windhorst when he's like, "What's going on with?" So as I mentioned this part of this clip from Coach Rule that I thought was really interesting, where he talks about Dylan leaving. He goes, I wish him the best. He goes, if he needs a fresh start, I'm going to pray. This is a quote. I'm going to pray that he finds the right place and that he has so much success. With that being said, let me just say, whenever somebody says, with that being said, this is the important part coming up. Okay. There's a lot of great QBs out there and a lot of guys that want to play at Nebraska. So that felt very read between the lines-y for me. And so whenever the read between the lines flag goes up in my brain, I start looking for other evidence.
Yeah.
I immediately start scouring my whatever Rolodex that I have. And these things may or may not be relevant, but I start collecting information because I want to try and get a picture. And I go back in my Rolodex of things that Coach Rule said late in press conference throughout the year. He goes, one of the things he said, TJ Lateef never makes anything about himself. That was publicly in a press conference. He says, if you aren't grateful for what you have here, then I can't help you. That's a thing he said out loud in a press conference. We know that there was a late in the game trip to Buford, Georgia. And a lot of people correlated that to Dayton. A lot of people maybe correlated that to Donovan. I wonder how much of it was, hey, this is the investment we've made in you that we are making in you. And we feel like we've done everything we can to put you in a position to be successful. That hasn't led to the level of success I think either of us want. We're going to try things a little bit differently. How do you feel about that? Would you like to be with us, or do you feel like you need a fresh start? The fresh start he talked about yesterday. This is why I said you don't have to say anything, because I don't want you to be in a weird spot here. Because I start putting these things together, and I start putting together, you keep asking me questions like, if I'm watching UCLA and I'm Dylan, maybe I feel some kind of a way. And I sit there and I add that to my little collection of facts and quotes and things like that. And I go, I feel like, and listen, I know people always say this, right? You break up with somebody, you say, it was mutual. No, it was mutual. We decided together. I feel like Nebraska was maybe more involved in this split decision than maybe any of us thought in the first place. That is my 2 cents. I can go to break now if that would make you more comfortable.
That's a story I keep in house.
But that is, I feel like there's breadcrumbs that have been put out there. I didn't say anything that was not publicly discussed. True or false?
True.
Okay. So those are my breadcrumbs that I'm following through the forest like Hansel and Gretel. Maybe I'll get eaten by a witch. I don't know. But that is
Hansel and Gretel?
Yes, what I just said. That's where I landed. I think Nebraska was more involved in this decision than we gave them credit for. That's all. We got Mike ROSE-IVEY coming up next. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
I'll definitely say they've been great. Losing someone like Emmett, that's definitely something hard. That's my brother. You feel me? I over these last 2 years, I started to look at him like he was an older brother to me. So it's like, even though he's gone, I feel as though it's a great opportunity not only for myself but for the other backs in the room. It opens up a big hole. Like, I know it's big shoes to fill, but it's like, we work day in and day out for moments like these. So it's like we just gotta take over the moment. Man, I could go on and on what I learned from Emmett, but I feel as though like definitely the most important things that I learned from Emmett is, how to be a pro off the field. Like, everyone thinks just being a football player, it's what you do on the field, but it's also what you do off the field, coming to meetings 10 minutes early instead of being the last person in there, showing up to breakfast, being the first person in breakfast, being the first person in the weight room, stuff like that. So I definitely feel as though like just being around Emmett for the last 2 years, like he definitely like taught me how to be more of a professional.
First off, I'll say how you guys doing. This opportunity means a lot to me. Watching Emmett all year was pretty, it helped me. Seeing him break tackles, finish runs, press vertical seams. It was definitely what I needed to see for this opportunity now. He helped me a lot. I was new to running back coming in this fall, so he was teaching me the ropes, teaching me the details of everything. So he's been a good mentor to follow behind. It was definitely humbling. Taking a step back, hey, I need to learn all of this, you know what I mean? Coming from high school, you're thinking you know everything, and then put in a situation where you have to learn again and watch the people in front of you. So I think it was kind of a humbling experience, and I think it helped me in the long run for what I want to do in the future.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. We're presented by Central Federal Credit Union. We are joined now by Michael ROSE-IVEY, MRI. What's going on, buddy? How we doing? Nope. Do we have him?
I heard a little bit of audio cracking. Oh, I heard that too. MRI, how we doing?
You hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Doing good, man. How you guys doing?
I'm good. I feel like I'm part producer here, Shane Schillerberg. I'm on delay. You hearing me okay?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Oh, okay. So there is a little bit of a delay. I think we can work through that. Where are you at in the building?
Same spot. I'm usually on.
Okay. Hey, so my buddy just sent me a message. He said his grandma sometimes said you have to hug people you don't like. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you guys. It sounds like it's a delay though.
Yeah, it's a definite delay. So you're gonna have to wait like a full second before you panic. My buddy just sent me a message. He says sometimes his grandma told him sometimes you have to hug people you don't like so you know how big to dig the hole in the backyard. Isn't that what it's like sometimes? Kind of being a fan. It's like you have to kind of put your toe in the social media water just so you know what you're dealing with to educate folks.
Yeah, that's one way to size somebody up. I ain't never heard it like that. That's more like mob mentality right there.
You know how I get down. Like
I feel it. Keep your friends close and enemies closer.
Yeah. Every day. So listen, we're Nebraska's moving on kind of in a different direction, and
yep.
you see what they're trying to do up front with the O-line and the D-line. Any doubt in your mind that supersedes whatever happens at the quarterback spot?
Good question. No, I don't think there's any doubt for me. I do think obviously there's a question mark in a sense, right? Latif coming off the hamstring injury. Obviously, he's gonna have the offseason to get that fully 100%, but we don't know if the bowl game maybe, it extends some type of healing process in offseason or whatnot. Obviously, with the market of quarterbacks that are going into the portal or have said they're going to the portal, there's some guys that are very interesting. One guy in particular we saw in Arrowhead last year that I'm not sure if Rule hasn't already found a way to get in contact with him, and Brendan Sorsby. But I think the quarterback position, as far as I think, where does Rule see the team? Obviously, the schedule is the schedule. Do you want Latif to get those battle scars against those Big Ten opponents, or do you want to bring in someone that has a little bit more experience that you feel like can push this team in those ball games? I think depending on where Rule sees his team and how he sees um, with the high school guys coming in who may be able to contribute, things like that. Just where is the focus for 2026 for this Husker team? But I'm confident that I'm confident the defense and the offensive line will get figured out. I think Wade has obviously had a great resume. What they've been running at Georgia Tech has been ahead of the curve with the modern offense and what they do with the quarterback run game and how they set things up. And it fits much what Rule said. He wants that his team to look like how they look, physically dominant up front and moving guys. So I'm not worried at all. I think the O-line and defense will get figured out. I think those two key pieces are I'm already on the way with those guys already being there and helping during bowl prep.
All right. So the prospect of Teasley and Tinsley and Jeep Wade, you automatically think physical, right? Like kind of in you. But the other thing they talked about, or Jeep Wade talked about last night, was simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you connect those two when you're scheming against it?
Scheming against it or being a part of the scheme? Let's say being part. If you're part of the scheme, like if you're an offensive lineman working within,
you could go. Yeah, you could go either angle. Like you've seen guys that have simple schemes and play really aggressive, and you could go either angle.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to limit it, if we're going to say, hey, we're going to be a power team, we're going to run do on power and counter. And I mean, if you think of those three run schemes, they all do what? We're all down blocking, right? So your simplicity comes from how many buckets are we going to fill as far as an offense, right, or a defense, and what you do conceptually, right? And that's always the conflict, right? You see all these great things, these great ideas you want to do, want to implement, but how many buckets are you filling, and do you have enough buckets, right, as far as your players and their football IQ to be able to handle what all comes with adding more concepts and calls? So if the simplicity comes from the scheme, you're probably running very similar concepts, right? That where our rules is, hey, I got a guy in my gap, I'm blocking back. Don't have a guy in my backside gap, I'm going to the linebacker. And as simple as wing T and single wing and all these dinosaur offenses have been winning at the high school level and youth level because it's the simplicity, right? We're doing very similar blocking schemes on every single run thing. The only thing we're changing is the backfield action and things like that. So I think for someone that's in that type of scheme or system, they're allowed to play faster because there's not a lot of rules. And there's some things that come up within the game that may challenge that simplicity, right? Where you may have to get a little more complex or have something to counter what the defense or offense is doing. But from what it seems, from what I've saw with Georgia Tech's offense, right, the simplicity comes from their scheme is very much similar as far as their offensive line up front, how they're blocking, what they're doing within gap scheme type of run.
MRI, one of the things that Jeep Wade said yesterday that kind of stuck out to me was just talking about how he wanted his guys to play harder than everyone else, just be the hardest playing team in the country. And I think that's something that as fans, especially if we didn't play at a high level, that maybe we take for granted a little bit. Is that my question though, is that a skill that you look for? Is that something you feel like you can teach? Like, I know that like competitiveness can be really hard to teach if a guy just doesn't have it right off the bat. Do you feel that same way about like motor and just effort level as well, or is that something you feel like you can draw out of guys?
I think you can. I think it is a skill. I'll start with that. I do think it is a skill. It's a skill often developed either through hardship through life or a foundation, right? Where you have parents that are, enforcing those type of traits in you and putting you in, not just talking about it, but actually putting you in situations to where you are learning how to work hard to earn something. You're learning also to be rejected, right? You're learning um when things go wrong, how you're supposed to respond, and when things go right, how you're supposed to respond. So I do think that is a skill, and I think it's more so developed, at adolescence and through the structure of whatever the life of the young person is going through. But I do think it's also a skill for coaches to draw that, and I won't say it's like a light switch, right? Because I think with most guys, they are who they are as far as work ethic. I mean, what's going to change is maybe what money, hey, you can get more money here. But at the end of the day, right, most guys are still who they are, right? They're gonna work at the level of that they've been, you know, they've worked at their entire life, right? But I do think for a coach, right, it is a skill to be able to get those guys to push themselves just a little bit more. Now, how much more? I don't think as much as a fan thinks. Like you go in there and give Al Pacino, speech at halftime, and everybody automatically we get 10-point overall boost, right? Like it's not a video game, right? People are human. And I think sometimes we want it to be so simple as, oh yeah, we need a fiery guy who can get after it, right? Or we need someone who can, manage the egos of the players and whatnot. But that's a delicate balance that I don't think people understand that comes with being a college coach, and dealing with outside the football stuff, the emails from academics or emails because someone didn't get to this place, or now you got to do this in recruiting. And you don't have that much time to be motivating people, right, DB? We're trying to find guys, like you said,
Yeah,
Robbie.
and
We want guys that are competitive, and that you're looking for that skill, and everyone's looking for that skill. Outside of height, size, and speed, competitive. You hear every single coach talk about competitiveness. Why? Because the landscape's changed, right? Money is no longer a factor, right? Everyone can go get money, and some people are going to sit on and say, "Hey, I've done enough," and so you got to find guys that are willing to go the extra mile and be more than the standard, right? Go above the standard and
That's
stand
why
out.
that's why I hate the comparisons to what we did in the 90s. And man, listen, I'm gonna be honest, man. If it was a big deal to have a couple of extra tickets or to get your
Right.
scholarship check, and there was this not cost of living thing. So we're comparing apples to oranges. Well, guys just played hard, and it
hmm
was about this, and we don't know what we would have done with money. And I hate the fact that we're
Yeah.
not willing to entertain it. It's just like,
Yeah.
well, it
I mean,
needs to be.
society was tougher. I mean, that's what we got to think. Like
No,
football, like sports.
I just
I mean, sports, politics, all
so
that
it
doesn't
bugs me.
change over time
So that
without society changing.
So that part bugs me, right? It's like the barometer in which we're comparing it to is unrealistic. We're considerably softer by nature
By nature, correct.
because we have access to more things. So I don't even do the comparison thing.
Right.
The other two things that I like that I think Coach Wade was talking about, because I think this is what ailed the D-line room. You have to be able to control the room's mannerisms. Right,
Yeah, we're getting yeah.
you're familiar with a couple of guys in that room in particular, right? So you have to command and control your room as a position coach. And the other thing is, and we take that for granted. Like
Yeah.
if you could just know that everybody was going to operate at their optimum emotional level, you wouldn't need to meet with them.
Yeah.
Right? You just say,
Right.
here's what's on the iPad. See you at 10. Right?
Right. Robots.
But we assume that they're people, they have emotions, they think very differently. Williams Renari is not the same as Riley Van Poppel, but you're
Right.
coaching both of them, right?
Yeah.
To the offensive point about playing hard, people look at that and be like, well, how do you not play hard? That's not what he's saying.
Right.
Be honest. How many times did you look at your position group, or did your coach demand when you're looking at your position group and you say, see that group over there? They're not going to outwork us. Or you see that group right there? We need to be where they're at. Because I think we
hmm
make this assumption that coaches like wave this magic wand and all the
Yeah.
groups are the same. They're not.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
not. Right? Coach Solich would look at Coach Brown and he'd say, why are they out here before us and why are they on the field after us? The offensive line would come up and say, what'd you pansies do up here? We were down in the pit. We'd look at the D line and say, you guys get to be by yourselves all the time. That's why you guys are bad teammates. Like, we would do these back and forth, right?
Right.
It's not just what you want to do is you want your position group to always want to be the best in a team environment. That is not natural. It has to be intentional. You don't luck into those outcomes. That's what I think I heard Jeep Wade saying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, like you said, there's no magic wand. When people say we want to be the toughest, like what barometer? How do you measure that, right? And guys may have it, right? A finish on the block, or especially we're talking about O-line, the finish, the drive, trying to continue, fighting for angles, working against guys. But again, like you said, I think with what we're getting is very interesting. Again, we can piece this all together and go quote for quote, and like I think Robbie was talking about in the last
that was
last segment, the wind horse, the wind horse meme,
that
like,
was
what is this? But it really is though, because we're getting a lot of these quotes that are like, okay, this makes sense. You talk about like being able to control the room and being able to coach everyone and develop everyone, and the position groups having that inner competition amongst each other, that pushes a team to that next level. And if you can't control a room of egos of a kid from Midwest, West Coast, down South, from all over, in one room, it becomes tough to even talk X's and O's if we can't communicate or connect on a human level as a group, right? And I think that's what playing harder than anyone else is, caring more about my teammates and my team success than myself. And there has to be a buy-in outside of football, that brings that. And I can come to you guys and for your example, I can come to the other position group and talk trash. When I know there's a vested interest, right? That we're all in this together, and that I know, hey, they hear that oh, y'all was doing this. Oh, bet, hey, we're getting there 30 minutes earlier. We're gonna do our own stuff, right? We're gonna stay out there, make sure we go through the routes, or we go through the run game, things like that. And that's where the competition breeds. And that's for me, as a coach. I mean, that's my first message to any new team I get to. If I'm a position coach, like, hey, we're gonna be the hardest working group. I don't know what everyone else is gonna be doing, how they're gonna operate, but over here, and I think that's how you get. And I'm biased to myself, but I feel like if you ask any coach to coach with me, like that's where I get the most out of people, out of everyone, because I'm intentional with how I approach the entire group. I'm not coaching the top guy or any different. I coach my bottom guy, right? Or the middle guy, or the sophomore that's trying to get to varsity, right? And I feel like, for one, it prepares you for now. It gets all the guys better now. But two, you're setting yourself up for the future. And that's what we call the word development, right? That's where development comes from. And again, I think it's not just acquiring the top talent. Even schools that get 5 4 stars have a problem developing those guys and getting them to their optimal performance level. And that's the tough part. That's why you gotta get paid a lot of money. I mean, it ain't just X and O's, and it ain't just magical motivational speeches. This is a day in, day out grind to get someone to do something that most times they don't want to do. And that's a skill.
And it has to be
Like Robbie said, that's a skill.
repetitive. You have to be able
That's
to
be repetitive, and
do
the
the
more
same
the
thing
more
every
systematic
day.
the more systematic it is, the for one, easier it is to predict the results, and also the easier it is to troubleshoot the problems.
When you were playing, let me ask you just real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robbie. When did the hardest working position group, in your opinion, change by the year, or was it fairly consistent?
I feel like it was fairly consistent. I think it was more obvious maybe with more talent in a position group, but it's headed by that position coach, and that's why those guys are so important. People got to understand, I mean, the quarterback and head coach dynamic is different, but most position groups, you see the head coach. We're at practice, but you are dialed in with your position coach.
Yeah.
That is your guy. That's your if there's a problem, if 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you either call your position coach or the GA you're cool with, right? That's the two
Because you
guys you're
know what your
calling.
head coach is going to say.
Yeah, you already know that. And
Did you
yeah,
talk to your position coach?
exactly. Did you talk to your position coach? With anything, you talk about playing time. You talk about X, Y. Did you talk to your position? 'Cause there's a chain of command there, and that's why those guys are so important. So I would agree. I think for the most part, it stayed fairly consistent with the hardest working group. The guys like Keith Williams, man. You talking about the hardest working group? We do we do 110s, a whole conditioning thing. I mean, we're in the locker room passed out. He get those 4 cones out, and he get that rope out. Them boys are out there for 45 minutes after we get done conditioning every single day. And that's how a B. Riley, and who's a great Nebraska high school athlete, that's how a Brandon Riley goes and gets a chance in the NFL. That's how those guys go and develop. And I mean, the amount of guys, think about his position group, man. If you really look back, like Sam Burch's, right? The guys that like who would have thought that they have, some type of, any type of success on the field on Saturdays, just being walk-ons in their stories and things like that. But again, he had the approach. I'm developing the whole group, and those are the guys I emulate as a coach now. I'm just trying to continue doing that and developing everyone and setting yourself up for success now and in the future.
MRI, do you think because when we say guys need to play harder, I think we think about mostly games. Like, do we underestimate the cumulative effect of like playing 2% harder than your previous self just every day? Like, you talk about development. That's sort of the thing we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like rigor?
Yeah, just like it's because I think we think, hey, we want to be the hardest playing team in the country. I think people think, hey, I want to play harder than the guy across from me, but it's like, no, I need to play harder than I did yesterday. And it's like those differences.
Like, who are you? Who are you going against, right? In that situation, like
what's the comparison?
Who's your opponent? Yeah. Who's your opponent? Is it the person you're going against, or is it yourself? Is it I got to work harder than my teammate? I think it's accumulation of those things. I mean, look, that's why working hard is so important. I don't know what this guy across from me did all the past 8 months.
Yeah, just don't leave it to chance, right?
Yes,
you have to
yes,
that doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah, you have to exactly. You have to get into a mindset, into a frame where it does not matter what this guy does. My preparation is allowing me to. But again, until you, I mean, just from a fan's perspective, we playing harder is it's so subjective. Like I don't know how you can unless I mean you see someone clearly just hey I got a down block. I clearly don't. I whiff. I don't go get them. Um, but again, like I said, you don't know what those guys do. So again, you got to make sure you're working at a point where there's no leaving up to chance. When the ball gets set and the clock start running, that I've done everything I can to play at a high level and do my job.
So, MRI, we've talked about a few different kind of aspects
that's the key to this program
of what this looks like, right? Whether
it ain't the talent,
whether it's working harder. You said why do you work harder? It's because you care more. I go, why do you care more? We talk about competitive rigor. Like when I'm sitting here and I'm trying to figure out, are all those part of the same thing? Like, are all those just like different aspects of how competitiveness manifests itself in an individual?
I think so. If you think like a spider graph, or you're kind of got all these points that are some's pushing out a little bit more than others, as far as right, the different elements it takes to be competitive, right? Just as a person, as a program. I think the main thing is with being competitive is having a relentless mindset, right? I think one of Nick Saban's favorite things, some guys, that whenever you start anything hard, right? Trying to lose weight, trying to accomplish a task, more times than not, again, you're gonna be rejected, then things are gonna go well. And I think that's one of the key traits for just being a competitor is just knowing that there are going to be ups and downs. There's going to be a back and forth. Although I may have prepared at the highest level I can outside of competition, and when I get to competition, there's still going to be adversity within those moments. So a mental, physical, even emotional toughness is needed. You talk about trying to be 2% better than the person you were the day before. I think that's everyone's battle. I mean, we put a camera and followed anyone around, on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if there's a net positive for everyone in a 7-day span. as far as did they get better this week, right? If you really analyze, how they went about their week, their day, the time they had really to be able to maybe do something outside of, sit around, scroll Twitter, or do something that isn't productive. So again, I think being competitive is a mixture of everything and an accumulation of all those things. But I think the main thing is having a resiliency and having a fight, and a willing to and die about and live too on your standards and who you are and what you stand for. And I think if you have those things, I mean, I think that equals pride. What pride would be, in my opinion.
I'm listening to this whole thing and the dynamics, and this might sound funny, Duddy, and kind of hokey. I'm recruiting a family. Whomever the caregivers are, grandma, grandpa, uncle, trainer Steve, mom, dad, because we do all this bitching and moaning. We complain about soft kids and soft culture. I mean, you got chump parents and guardians raising these people, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't like the byproduct, then go to the root cause. That can limit your cause and the casualties, right?
Yeah.
Start with who's rearing them to give you an inkling on what's wrong with that.
No, I actually agree 100%. And so the reason I'm laughing right now,
because you know what, if you want to get some idea, it's not foolproof.
Yeah.
If you want to know what I would do with money versus being broke, ask Don and D Benning, because they would tell you.
Yeah.
This idiot wanted a $1,200 draft signing bonus because he thought he could buy his mom Sentra versus going to school, right? Hey, I don't want to go play football. Like, hey, this is a $1,200 signing bonus for the 36th round. What? Like, and he's going to look at me and say, "You're an idiot. Go to school." Right? So you know what you're getting.
So
why can't we should just do that?
So
if you get a kid and he's like, "Hey man, can I bring Uncle Tim and my trainer?" Move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's the top rated player in the state of Wyoming. Move the heck on.
So the reason I was laughing at you is because when we do this, a lot of people reach out to us because they feel a certain way about the way we talk about certain players, right? So it's hilarious to me.
You have to be more.
I will. I'll get you. So a lot of times that's a kid's parents or somebody in their family will reach out to us because they don't like how we talked about the person that's either their kid or their nephew or whoever, right? Can I tell you my hit rate on being like, I'm out on that kid because if that's how he was raised, I'm good? Like, my hit rate on being right on that is about 1,000%.
Oh, if the parent acts like
that.
Yeah,
if a parent is like, man, I don't like how you're talking about my kid, my hit rate on that kid not being any good is pretty high. That's why I was laughing at you, because I'd never put words to it, but as I'm kind of thinking about all the different times that's happened, I'm sitting there, I go, yep, the parents are a pretty good indicator here.
Yeah. Pick your youth programs differently. Pick your coaches different. I hate how we get to the end of the deal and it's like,
oh, we never could have seen this coming.
That's where everybody wants to complain. It's like, how'd we get here?
No, I mean, you see that with high school ball. I mean, you can tell the kid that acts the way where, hey, his parent, if you say anything to him, his parent's gonna be up here. Just how they carry themselves. And again, I think you can get an idea about those type of kids. And I think that's become the thing with the NIL, and one of the things you have to manage. Obviously, there's money, and guys are getting paid, different amounts in the locker room, and I think that's where again, the connection and just trust amongst each other is important, and really being intentional with building that in this new era of sports. 'Cause you have to have camaraderie. There's already obvious envy possibility, young people, different amounts of money, who's really more valuable, all those type of things. Just the immaturity to be able to handle those things. So I think this also, one thing to look at when you're trying to build and formulate these rosters is how do you get guys that have high character value, but also really good football players. It's funny. I'm actually thinking about, I think it was NC State's basketball coach. His quote yesterday is like, we have a 3.0 GPA, which we really good. But we play in the ACC. Like I need tougher kids. I need tougher players. I need better players. I don't know the full quote. It was way better than I just gave it. But please go check that out.
And it's just funny. I just go back to some of the rules, the comments that Coach Rule's talking about, the recruiting the last 2 years and NIL and trying to navigate the landscape. I think he's finally just like, man, forget it. I'm going. We're going with toughness. We're going with, who can do hard things. And it may have taken a little bit, but I think like most coaches, you think you have enough to work within the system, so you do the best you can. And I still think that's the goal. But man, you better make it about the roots and supplement with all the other stuff.
Yeah, you can
trying to
definitely
play
tell
the
that.
game on the fly. That's why all these coaches are leaving.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. You can definitely tell with Rule. He's he went this route. It may not even been his first decision. Something that he may have spoken with some other people, maybe got a little more push or a nudge to really go full tilt and give into the certain demands and things like that that came with bringing in a guy like Dylan and having the whole family dynamic and stuff like that. But you can just tell that I think he's tried it this way. I think he wants to go back to his way and kind of how he maybe envisioned it originally. And you're seeing the wholesale changes. And again, you have to commend that. I think Bo got it. He quote unquote hired his friends, wouldn't fire people. Riley kind of very similar. Frost. Can't remember too many releases of guys.
And you know what? He had his own foibles, but at least he was honest enough to say I caved. Like he's like, man, I gave in. Like I sold out because I'm competitive and I want to win. Like compromise.
And I get it. I definitely get it. But I'm also 100% behind them in the program and where they're going. I think it's a handshake. Hey, thank you for what you've done. We'll continue on doing what we're doing here.
It sounds like without sitting them down and saying, hey, what's the temperament in the building? It seems like it's like F it. Like if you know what I mean? It's like if you're about this, go on.
Right.
Whether
one of us.
Whether
now I got a question. What are you guys hearing on the D-line job? I haven't. I know they hired. I will say I do like Roy Manning coming over.
I do too.
I think he's been really good, really good. Really good recruit. And when people say he's a great recruiter, you know what that tells me? He's great also with his room, because if he can go recruit guys and go in living rooms, talk to parents on the phone, all that stuff, and build relationships, then he's going to be able to continue those relationships when they get there. So whenever I hear a coach, they say, "Coach, hey, he's a good recruiter," his room is taken care of as far as how he goes about building relationships with guys, right? Because those guys, that's what you have to do in recruiting. So I definitely like Manning, but I'm just interested to see what you guys may have been hearing about the D-line spot.
Let me ask you.
Because Simpson's still there. He's still there as well. So you got to figure out kind of what his role. I've heard possibly maybe more recruiting and analyst maybe type stuff could be a potential. But
you talk about a guy that can talk to people. That's Coach Simpson. I always joked with Ravi. I said that's the type of guy that could tell me I sucked, I dressed like trash, and I need to be a better person. I'd probably be like, "Oh, okay, at least you care about me. I'll get right on that." You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how he comes across. But if I ask Coach Rule, I ask Pat Stewart, I ask these coaches, what's the one ingredient that if you couldn't miss when you were evaluating somebody, would you take? And it some way, shape, or form boils down to competitiveness. It doesn't have anything to do with talent. They all say competitiveness or the ability to hang in there, resiliency, something like that. If you had one that was going to be can't miss and a coaching staff member, what would that characteristic be?
It has to be personable. If you're talking about somebody that's going to be a recruiter, someone that can communicate, in diverse,
Does a
settings.
good teacher have to be personable?
Uh,
Yes.
You think?
yes, I think it to an extent. I think that's what made Bo kind of intimidating because he was a great teacher of his scheme. Well, what makes it intimidating is when something goes. So when something goes wrong and something's not how he sees it. Because most times with those guys, the unpersonable teachers, right? They're kind of the mad scientists stuck in their lab in their head. Hey, how I see it is how I see it.
That's
I
Bill. That's
think they
Bill Callahan.
yeah. I don't necessarily think you have to be the most, hey man, how you doing? Just everyone's name. But I do think there's a level of personal, like a funny nah, I won't. Well, yeah, I'll leave his name out. But there was a D line. There was a D our D line coach when we were there under Bo. A crazy guy, obviously. He had some things that surround him. But as far as if you know what I'm talking about, if you picture him in your head, he could relate to the guy from Compton, right? And he can relate to the guy from Gretna, Nebraska. And
I didn't
I
hear though
think
after what he
and he was a really good teacher. I mean, a really good teacher of football. But he was able to relate with people to a point, but also there was a side of it where it was like, yeah, this guy he got some screws a little bit loose. But I think there's a mixture there's a balance that can be there. And I just think it's dependent on the coach. I won't say it's always 100% that a guy is a great teacher that has to be personable, but I think there's a way you come off if you're held for your brilliance or your mind, but you don't have a way of teaching it, right? Or don't have a way of getting someone to understand why it's important that they do it like this and how you come on, and especially you talk about this generation, right? You have to understand how these kids receive feedback, how they receive criticism, because that's vital to getting them to actually do what you're trying to get them to do. So in this day and era, I do think if you're a good teacher, you have to be personal because these kids value that.
So MRI, this is the last thing I have for you, but I think when people hear personable, sometimes they think
likable,
like charming or charismatic.
I get it.
And I think
Yeah,
what I
that's a good
more
point.
is like relational, right?
That's
There
a good
has
point.
to be something that draws people to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
It's
take
the
that.
Yeah,
old
and I'm glad you said that, right? Because I think the way I
That's
explained it, I
antithesis.
think is yeah, that's good.
That's
Because I think the
antithesis.
way I just explained it was more so being in a sense likable.
and it goes back to this old like teaching adage, right? Like nobody cares what you know until they know that
Until
you
they know you
care,
care. Yeah.
right? And to me, that's what it is when you're talking about being personable or
Yeah.
being relatable. It's not about, oh, they can captivate a room or anything like that. It's just do the guys in the room know that you want the best for them? And if so, you can be a good teacher. If they
And
don't
that's how
believe that, then you're going
yeah.
to be a bad teacher.
And that's how you follow a bat crazy coach like the one I just
Yeah, because you thought you're like, hey, this still
No, because he is a
right?
guy that, you know, look, man, I mean, guys had kids, had babies, right? He have clothes to. I mean, he was one of those type of guys. Show up to your kid's birthday party. I mean, you have coaches like that they have obviously their moments where it's like this guy is off the wall, but they still show they care. And I think there's a duality there. Obviously, at some point it gets to a toxic point, but I do think, like you said, just what draws if you can get something or sorry if you have something that draws people to you, it makes them want to work harder for you. You talk about getting the hardest working group, but go back to where we started the conversation with Wade, with talk about Jeep Wade. Getting guys to play hard is just about it's about trust and care, like you said, knowing that you care about them outside of football, outside of them securing the A or B gap. I think that's important, and that's how you get guys to play hard, and that's the magical wand, right?
Yeah,
And that's
especially as a development program, because those are the
yep.
things you can be doing while you're waiting on, the mythical guy to come save the program, right?
For sure. Yep.
Do the little things in between.
I mean, that's why people ask why DB lets me talk to him the way that I do, and I think it's because deep down,
I'm afraid.
Well, no, it's because deep down he knows I'm Team DB, right? Like deep down he knows like that guy's riding for me, even if he's an absolute nut job, right? And like that's the key, right? You can you can deal with a lot if you know somebody's on your side.
If
For
you
sure.
think in show Robbie's tough, you should see him post show. I was struggling the other day. I had a dilemma, and this dude, man,
We need a BTS behind the scenes.
he talked to me like I was a stranger. I said, but what about he? Knock it off. I was like, I said, okay, man, I'm done. Yep, that's
no.
him.
What I asked him was, if you removed other people's feelings from this situation, would this be a hard decision? And he goes, no, and I go, there you go.
That's how. Yeah. Anyway, I'll kill him.
I don't think DB likes the matter of factly type of tone.
Listen, no, that part is okay. I'm just not trying to. I'm not a big scorched earth guy.
I think it's,
unless I'm prepared to fully go there.
I think it's
then I'm the guy that you have to come bail out. I just know the dangers of.
Yeah.
I pray for
personality.
I pray for that maturity. In the future, DB. I'm working on myself still.
Listen,
I think it might be the condescending tone that gets him. If I'm being honest.
That's why I drink at the closet, not out in public. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
I'm all right. Thanks as always. Good stuff, man.
See you, fellas, man. Have a great weekend. I probably won't talk to you guys, man, but have a great Christmas. Enjoy your family.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy that, man.
Be well, buddy. All
yes, sir.
Much love.
Yeah,
fantastic year.
Merry Christmas, buddy. We appreciate you.
Merry Christmas, feel you guys.
Thank you, buddy.
That's Michael ROSE-IVEY.
You're still a jerk.
Well, yeah, but I'm a jerk that's on Team DB.
The managing of the room, I can't. There's a lot. A
Come
lot in there.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to our guy, Brian Edwards from Major Wager. That's CB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
That's a tough question. You get the best available. I mean, is it a pocket guy? Is it dual threat guy? Is it a more of a runner? You look at the overall body of work, and it's just so different now. We're actively watching quarterbacks and have been watching quarterbacks to try to make those decisions. We got a whole personnel department that's been doing it, and it's every position, and those guys have been doing that for months. And so then it's just about looking and seeing what's available, and my job's to evaluate it. My main job is to coach TJ and the rest of the offense to get us ready to go play in a bowl game. That's number one on my list, and so then, after the game's over, we'll come back and that portal will open up on the 2nd, and it's going to get kind of crazy for a couple weeks.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows, today's day and age, everybody has to do what they think is what's best for themselves. So, what Dylan had to do was him and his family believe was best for himself. So, everybody here is, no hard feelings. Everybody knows the business today's age of college football. So, everybody's super excited for him to go out there and do what's best for him, and this team will continue to move forward with what they have to do in the future. Yeah, I mean, I think the rally around TJ started when Dylan got hurt. It doesn't really nothing really changed. Everybody still knew TJ was going to be the quarterback for the bowl game, so nothing really changed in that aspect. So everybody's still been rallying around TJ, no matter what the circumstances is now.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brian Edwards from Major Wager. B, what's going on, man?
Good morning, fellas. What's happening? How cold is it out there today?
It's not bad.
I woke up, it was 46. I was pissed. I kind of wanted to go back to winter. It's going to be like this mild, balmy, 48-degree Christmas. It's aggravating.
Only in Nebraska do you call 48 degrees balmy.
And bad enough, I got to be in Vegas on the 26th. How about it? What kind of crybaby am I, B?
What do you got? What do you got going there?
Oh, we got the bowl game. So,
you are in the Vegas Bowl?
Yeah, we fly out on the 26th. Back on the 31st, so it'll be, and unless you're with me, we're going to bump into John Jones again, man. It's probably not going to be as good a time out in Vegas.
I don't think I'm going to make it.
Hey, why did he? Was that right the first time that he got popped?
Remember that was when he got popped for steroids like 3 days before the fight.
Yeah, who was it? Yeah, yep, that's it.
They did Anderson Silva on short notice.
Boy, that was. We're like, wait a minute, is that John Jones? I was like, hey, I'll be right back, guys.
B, have you?
One of the few times I've asked for a picture.
Everybody was pissed at him except for David.
Yep. So can I just say that was so long ago? I was early in the political arena of UFC. Like I didn't really care so much about the backstories and just give me all the Liddells and Tito Ortiz. I mean, I'm like an 04, 03 guy for UFC. And so I thought everybody was somewhat dirty. You know what I mean? I didn't.
Well, you know what? I think they were. So I just looked up UFC 200 was July 9th, 2016. I mean, I think they put the steroid testing and all that in place just a year or two before that, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
B, so not to totally switch gears on you here. I don't think we've talked to you since the terrible departure of your once beloved DJ Lagway. How are we doing?
Oh, I've been kind of out on Lagway for a while. I'm fine with it. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't out on it as soon as you were, unfortunately, because your evals on QBs are a little better than mine these days. That's for sure. But yeah, no, I'm completely fine with him leaving. Yeah, no problem. So we're probably going to get Aaron Philo, the backup at Georgia Tech, who I didn't realize Georgia Tech paid $1 million this year to be Haynes King's backup.
Yeah.
He's pretty good, but I mean, surely we're bringing in other people to compete with him. I don't know that I'm on board with him just being our anointed starter. But he did break all of Trevor Lawrence's records in high school in the state of Georgia.
And as we all know, Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. B.
Now, come on now. They're kind of hot right now, though.
Are they good?
Huh? I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying the Jags are hot. A month ago, I would have been like,
years. What was your nickname for Jags for the Jaguars when you always
that's
fade
still
them?
my nickname for them. Can I say it on these air? Yeah, I call them the Jagoffs.
Every week you were fading these guys and getting paid.
And taking their under every season, which hits every year except for this year. That year they went the AFC Championship game with Bortles.
B, let's get to some of the college football playoff games here. I know you're probably not having actual action on all these, but I still kind of want to go through your thoughts on them. We get started off tomorrow night. Bama and Oklahoma, maybe the best game of the weekend. That one's phenomenal. I've got that at 1.5 right now, over under at 39.5. Is there anything you like there?
Yeah, I like Oklahoma, and I think I put +1 on the DM to you guys, but you're right. It's flipped. Oklahoma's favored by 1 or 1.5 now, but that's unless it hits on 1, it's no big deal. So, I still like Oklahoma. They've won 4 in a row, including a win at Tennessee and a win at Bama in back-to-back weeks, and then they beat Missouri, held Missouri's offense to 6 points. Alabama, since that Tennessee game, they've become one-dimensional. They're ranked 118th or 118 nationally in rushing yards out of 136 FBS teams. I don't think Ty Simpson's healthy. Now, he's had 2 weeks off, so maybe he's healthy now. Mm-hmm. But I just think that Alabama's offensive line is maybe the nation's most disappointing position group, and not good news when you're going up against Oklahoma's defensive front. I was admittedly partying in the Grove during the first meeting. We had some tailgates around us that had the game on, but I had Bama, and once they had that 85-yard pick six, I kind of tuned out. I know Bama had great, dominated the stats, but anyway, they're on the road this time. I like Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think for whatever the reason, I think the wrong team's favored. I agree with you. I think
it's flipped. Oklahoma's favored now.
Yeah, I went across the number.
Across the 0.
Yeah, now it's Oklahoma by 1.5.
I still like Oklahoma.
Unless it hits 1, it doesn't matter.
They're the better team.
All right, B. Let's move on to Saturday. For some reason, the DM from me didn't get through, so I'm just gonna.
Sorry.
Oh no, I just got it from Shano now. Sorry. You got some Ole Miss action going on here as well, and by some I mean an ungodly amount of Ole Miss action with the props. What are we looking at for the Ole Miss props?
All right,
they're going up the bang B or what?
I'm going Ole Miss's team total over. I would like it up to 38. It's in the 36.5 to 37.5 range with various juices. That's my main play on this game. But I'm throwing a little half unit on several different player props. Let's go Kewan Lacey to score the first touchdown. That's plus 250. Let's also try Trinidad Chambliss to score the first touchdown. That's plus 750. So I'm hoping that they're running the ball inside the 5, one of those two guys. And then Kewan Lacey, he scored 3 touchdowns or more 3 times this year. For him to have 3 touchdowns or more is plus 320. Maybe not even a half unit there, maybe like a quarter unit. And then let's go Chambliss over 36.5 rushing yards, and let's go Retzlaff over 37.5 rushing yards. And then in the A&M, I don't like the A&M Miami game, but I like Marcel Reed over 33.5 rushing yards. Sorry, did I cut you off, Damon?
No, it's just that's a tricky line.
Yeah, I don't trust either team. But Marcel Reed, he had 71 against Texas, 108 to LSU, 55 Arkansas, 37 Florida, 66 Utah State, 39 UTSA. He's going over 37.5 quite a few times.
All right. I listen, I think you sometimes think I'm Ravi and bashing Florida and Lagway. You always pick against my Steelers. This is a big one in terms of a number. You like the fact that Detroit's getting a little healthier, or they're desperate, or 7 seems like a lot?
Well, since when they're in bounce back mode off a regular season loss, going back to early November of 2023, they're undefeated, 15-0 straight up, 14-1 against the spread, 10 double-digit wins. The only non-cover against Jameis and the Giants earlier this year.
All right.
And they're desperate. The defense is not playing well, but the offense is playing fine.
Yeah, I just don't know. If Pittsburgh's not taking a shot playing the passing game, they're checking it down. I'm pretty sure Detroit can figure that out. Right? It's either 50-50 ball down the sidelines or a check down, right?
Yeah, and look, I mean, they know they have to win. They got to win out to get the playoffs. And that might not even get them there. But I think they'll have a good chance if they win out. And bounce back mode, got to go Detroit -7.
All right. I know we started this conversation with you fading the Jags. Let's end it that way as well. They are 3-point dogs to the Broncos. Obviously, you like the Broncos.
Yeah, I like the Broncos -3. I know the Jags are playing really good, but the Broncos haven't lost in a long time, and they're at home laying 3. I mean, that's automatic for me.
It just does. It seems like it should be more.
What was the game last week where we were talking about we couldn't figure the line out, and you like to go against it?
I would say it was the Bills Patriots game.
Oh, you were right. You were right.
Although 21-0, I was like, I don't know why I tried to talk Brian off his philosophy.
I would say you couldn't have felt good for about 90% of that game.
Well, 50. Okay. After the half, I was like, oh, here they come.
All right.
And I was going to hedge a little bit, but when it was, I think it was 14-0, and New England had the ball, and I went to the live line, and it was only Buffalo plus 6.5, and I would have done it if it was 7 or more, but I was like 6.5, and New England's driving. I didn't do it.
Yeah, it didn't seem right, did it?
No, it didn't, and I obviously should have taken that. Darn it.
That is our guy, Brian Edwards. B, we appreciate the time as always, and good luck this weekend.
All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
Thanks, B.
That's Brian Edwards from Major Wager. Don't forget.
You don't forget.
I'm not forgetful. Well, maybe. No, I tend to remember. You got to remember to go out to see our friends over at Lawrence Gardens. Their Bright Nights display is back. DB and I went and checked it out last year. They're at it again. Step into sparkling wonderland this holiday season. Stroll through glowing indoor gardens, and new for 25, explore the outdoor lights of Sophia's Play Garden, where seasonal installations light up the night, from a majestic 20-foot poinsettia tree to a vibrant tropical oasis. Every corner bursts with color and holiday cheer. Make sure you get to lawrencegardens.org to get your tickets today. It will be through January 4th. We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
That's a tough question. You get the best available. I mean, is it a pocket guy? Is it dual threat guy? Is it a more of a runner? You look at the overall body of work, and it's just so different now. We're actively like watching quarterbacks and have been watching quarterbacks to try to make those decisions. We got a whole personnel department that's been doing it, and it's every position, and those guys have been doing that for months. And so then it's just about looking and seeing what's available, and my job's to evaluate it. My main job is to coach TJ and the rest of the offense to get us ready to go play in a bowl game. That's number one on my list, and so then, after the game's over, we'll come back and that portal will open up on the 2nd, and it's going to get kind of crazy for a couple weeks.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows, like, today's day and age, everybody has to do what they think is what's best for themselves. So, what Dylan had to do was him and his family believe was best for himself. So, everybody here is, no hard feelings. Everybody knows the business today's age of college football. So everybody's super excited for him to go out there and do what's best for him, and this team will continue to move forward with what they have to do in the future. Yeah, I mean, I think the rally around TJ started when Dylan got hurt. It doesn't really, nothing really changed. Everybody still knew TJ was going to be the quarterback for the bowl game, so nothing really changed in that aspect. So everybody's still been rallying around TJ, no matter what the circumstances is now.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We have a great quarterback in TJ Lateef. TJ went to UCLA, and what he did at UCLA, I mean, our team rallied around him. They played to his energy, and I think everyone could feel that. Came back against Penn State. We didn't play very well on defense. But if you go back and watch that game, you see a guy in TJ that wasn't intimidated, that moved around the field, made plays with his feet, ran for a touchdown, converted 2 third downs with his feet, made some huge throws down the field to Ja'Cory. Iowa pulls his hamstring, doesn't pull himself out of the game, doesn't pout, goes out there and fights. And so I don't think there's a guy on our roster that doesn't believe that TJ is a starting quarterback, and just the sky is the limit. So we feel great about where the quarterback position is heading. I think Dana said it really well yesterday. We've got to play better on offense. We've got to pass protect better. We've got to create more explosive plays. We had a very good run game. We've got to throw more explosive plays. We have to just improve this year. And that's not a one guy thing. That's all of us. That's us as coaches. That's us as players. And so even going back to, you mentioned earlier about me coaching, we spent 2.5 years trying to reestablish just the foundation of the program. Because make no mistake, it was rocky. And I can turn my attention now more to football. And Pat Stewart's doing a great job with the portal. So we'll have great quarterbacks in that room. You need more than one. We'll need to have multiple guys. And people want to play for Dana Holgerson. They want to play for Glenn Thomas. And so grateful to Dylan, but really excited about what that quarterback room will look like moving forward.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you that Centris can help you with your savings, whether it's their Roundup program, which I've talked to you about, or they've got certificate and savings account bundles as well. They've got lots of different options to help you meet your financial goals. Go to centrisfcu.org to learn more about all the different ways, including having some experts talk to you that you can meet your savings goals. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. We will be talking to our guy, Michael BRUNTZ, here from 24/7 in just a moment. DB,
I hope so.
Have you had a chance to kind of catch your breath from the MRI conversation yet?
Yeah,
all right?
good. That's good.
No,
we're just lining BRUNTZ up right now. He'll be ready.
I like talking to him. All right, easy breezy.
I do too. He's a bright guy. I feel like he has good insight.
Very much so.
If Nebraska wanted to come up, have him on staff someday, I wouldn't be mad about that. But
really, it'd be really good with players too.
Yeah,
like on and off the field.
Just relationally, he seems good. He seems like he gets it.
Kind of a realist.
Yeah, and
I just, it's always funny, man. We always talk about, we were always so quick to make it about, well, the kids this and the kids today that, and it's like, man, it's a lot of variables in that.
He brought up a really good point though about, the atmosphere that the kids came up in. They didn't create that.
No.
Right? There's this, everybody complains, all the participation trophies and stuff like that. It's like, who bought those participation trophies? It wasn't the kids, right? If you're mad about a guy going to 4 different high schools in 3 different states, you think the kid picked up and moved? Like, you think a 15-year-old is deciding, no, we're going to move from Texas to Arizona to Georgia, just 3 states, for example. Like, a kid's not making that decision.
No, I
you know what I mean? So like, I do think when you bring up, hey, like recruit the caregivers and decide who you want from there, I think that's a really good point, because you're going to be able to tell more often than not.
100%.
Something I can tell who must have had great caregivers is our guy, Michael BRUNTZ from Husker 24/7. They had the good sense to send him to Millard North, and look how great he turned out. BRUNTZ, how we doing this morning?
Not bad. What's going on?
Oh, hi, Mike. How we doing?
We're just hanging out.
Hello. Yeah,
Hello,
that's
hello.
good.
How are things?
Not bad. What's new?
You hanging
What do
in
you know?
there?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Well, you seem a little down in the dumps. Not very Bruntzian.
Oh, sorry. I'm good. Just I've had coffee this morning, guys. I'm dragging myself through the muck here. I'm trying.
Do you feel like you're very codependent on caffeine now?
Oh, I have been for a long time.
Just a concession we're willing to make.
Yeah, we're well acquainted. No, I just you're driving the drop off this morning without coffee. It's been rough.
So
well, let's talk something.
Yeah,
Get me out of this.
I
funk.
I want to start with hoops just for a second.
Mm.
Are you ready to say yes? This is a team I could see being in the top 20 all season long.
I don't know. I think they're going to be like a receiving votes team all season long. I think that's more just a Big Ten gauntlet. And I think too, I don't know how many favors Nebraska is going to get in the minds of voters on stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think people appreciate the story for what it is. I don't know how deeply some of those people are diving into what Nebraska basketball actually is. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you beat Michigan State at home, I mean, that probably buys you another few weeks. But I don't know. I mean, I am kind of curious to see, night in and night out, what this team can be in conference play. But I guess, as I say that, they had kind of a meat grinder of a week last week and looked okay. Yeah. They had the stretch with Oklahoma and in those games, K-State, and came through it. But I don't know. Like, I'm not. Maybe I'm just hedging a little bit because it feels like they're going to be kind of right around there, around 25. I feel like. But I mean, you beat Michigan State at home on a Friday night. You probably hang around a little bit more. Like, I feel like you need a couple more of those just big wins to kind of keep you there in the minds of voters.
Let me ask you a question. How do you think about Illinois, and does that affect how you feel about the win in Champaign?
Well, I mean, we talked about it before that game. I mean, that was I thought it felt like those of us on the call were pretty lockstep in our views of Illinois, and that being kind of a tough matchup for Nebraska.
It's a brutal matchup.
And they're adding guys. Like, Illinois is adding another guy with length this semester to come in, and Nebraska's going to have to deal with him when they play in Lincoln, which they just grow on trees over there, I guess. But I do think, that was I think the way that game played out, it made me feel better about what Nebraska could be. Because it's one thing if you're like, well, Sanford goes off for 26 or whatever it was in the first half. You need something like that to happen. But, every time Illinois kind of answered back, Nebraska counterpunched. And I think that bodes well. I mean, it's not at least to this point, has not been a team that seems to get flummoxed, and kind of, has to fight itself a little bit. I mean, they're a really kind of cool and collected team. A veteran team, and I think that will serve them well once they get to conference play. But I think, that Illinois game, just the way it kind of played out, I mean, that was very clear that this was a team that, it is kind of made of the right stuff, I think, to handle those back and forth games.
Have you allowed yourself to move past the making the NCAA tournament and started to think? We were talking about possible seeding earlier this morning. This is why I asked.
Well, this was on the heels of Andy Katz. He was talking about 3 teams in the Big Ten that he's buying, and Illinois and Nebraska were 2 of the 3. Mm-hmm. And he went as far as to say, he said, I'm just telling you guys, if Nebraska's on that 7-10 seed line, I could see them as a Sweet 16 caliber team.
And my answer was, if they're a 7, I think the 7 is low for what I think this team is. Have you allowed yourself to start kind of having those?
Well, you put a number to it. You said 24-7.
Yeah, I think 24-7 is a very realistic record for this team to not even have to run through the Big Ten in sort of any unprecedented way. That's only 11-7 in conference. And so I look at that and I go, like that, if you're 24-7, you should be a top 5-6 seed.
Yeah, no, well, there was the CBS Sports piece yesterday that I thought was pretty good. It had some good nuggets in there. And there was the stat, and I'm trying to do this off of memory, and it's not going to be right, but basically teams that have started with the record that Nebraska has, you're basically at like a 90% chance of making the NCAA tournament based on historical.
Correct. Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Type teams. So, I think we're probably past will they? I'm willing to entertain the seeding conversation because that is kind of fascinating. I mean, I know Lenardi had him as a 4 in one of his 4 seed in one of his regionals. If they're like a 7, I mean, I don't know. I mean, 11-7 feels doable in Big Ten to me. Like you said, Ravi. I mean, if
that's not crazy.
No, I mean, you defend your home court, you steal 1 or 2 on the road, and they go to Northwestern, they go to Minnesota. There's those kind of road games that you probably have mentally circled of okay, that's one you not should get, but would be really, really nice if you did get. You don't want to say gettable games because I know how that goes, but the schedule sets up to where you can do that, and a large part of it's just because of the work that they've already done to this point. So I'm willing to start entertaining the seeding conversation a little bit. As long as they get through North Dakota and New Hampshire, let's just say that first. But I think they've done enough to kind of earn that next step in that conversation.
So there's I'm a big Ken Pom nerd. So he kind of
a nerd.
Well, that too, but in this particular sense, I'm talking about the Ken Pom part of my nerdiness, where he has projections for basically the rest of the schedule. He also has them at 24-7. 8 of those games are kind of in what I call the coin flip zone, between 40 and 60% likelihood. He's only got them going 3-5 in those games. So I look at that and I go, okay, 24-7 not only seems doable, it maybe even seems a little on the not pessimistic end, but extreme realist end, I would say.
Yeah, I was looking. This is before the Illinois game, so I don't know how much the numbers have changed, but ESPN's BPI had them, I think, at 11-9 in conference play overall. Before Illinois, but I thought that seems really low to me, just kind of based on what I've seen. So I don't know. I mean, I think you probably have to be willing to entertain the conversation that Nebraska isn't just going to wilt when it comes to Big Ten play. I mean, I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. I understand, but I do think that they have kind of the markers and makings of what you would hope to be a strong team in conference play. Veteran guys that are bought into roles. They can shoot the ball really well from the outside. You might get Oogie back and get a little bit more depth and size there too. So, as we sit here today, I mean, I think you can see things continuing to trend in a positive direction. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I saw the 11-9, I was like, man, that's gonna be just like a limp into the finish line then. So, I would probably lean a little bit more towards Ken Pom and what he's got going on.
BRUNTZ, couple, we've got staff additions. We've got guys going to the podium. Clear to you that Nebraska is ready to make a change in what position group the most? Are you just going to safely land the plane and say the trenches, or where do you see the attention swinging immediately?
In terms of where they're going to flip things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be lazy. I'll say offensive line.
Well, you haven't had your coffee.
I'll take the off ramp.
Yeah. You're on the Tinsley Wade hype train.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how that duo is going to work. From talking to some of our guys in the SEC, they were saying that Lonnie was, one of the best offensive line recruiters that they ever came across.
Well, he's top 20 in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, and if you go through the guys that he's been connected with during his career as a recruiter, it's pretty impressive, the work he did as a recruiter. You know, I know Jeep Wade was on Sports Nightly last night, and I don't know, like he feels like the type of guy that, you know, that kids are going to want to play for, and, you know, guys that are already in the program are going to really kind of rally around him. He's a real high energy guy. You know, I would imagine that he probably, you know, has pretty high expectations for things. I mean, I think his time at Georgia Tech kind of speaks for itself and the work that they did there, and maybe a little bit of a hint of the direction that Nebraska might go with some of its run game stuff. But I do think, you know, that room too is at a very interesting point, because, you know, you've got a number of veteran guys that are moving out after this year. You've got a really big pool of, you know, some third-year guys, but a lot of second, you know, guys that are redshirting this year, second-year guys that you need to develop and bring along. And, you know, I think that's going to be the task, is the challenge is how do you get that pool of guys playing at a level where they can help you this year. I mean, it's really tough. It's really expensive to build an offensive line out of the portal. And, you know, I do think Nebraska just needs to do a better job of kind of developing the guys that are already in your program, and being able to kind of know, like, okay, next year this is going to be the next guy up. I mean, you look at the depth chart this year, you know, there's a lot of guys on there that, you know, still need to kind of make that next step before they're ready to be counted on.
Well, I don't know, BRUNTZ. I'm just excited to see all the South Carolina and Georgia Tech offensive linemen that hop in the porno with do not contact tags. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's always fun. I haven't really had that. Like that.
Winery was the big one.
Yeah,
was where it's kind of like, oh yeah, he's already coming to Nebraska. That one's locked up.
Yeah, no, January 2nd is going to be really fun. It's going to be.
I mean, I guess.
Sure. I can't wait. I like the player movement chaos, though. I enjoy that.
But it's just going to be like so many guys committing on that day, because I mean, a lot of guys know where they're going. I mean,
it's like NBA free agency. They signed at 12:01, and you're like, how'd that happen? That's a quick contract negotiation.
Yeah.
Zero tampering.
Didn't you even Google where he was going?
Do you know where that city is?
Yeah, I mean it. But I mean, I think that's you know, we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, I am interested to see, you know, kind of how the offensive line piece of it works with the portal, and obviously two guys that are coming from places that have had good linemen. I mean, even, you know, Elijah Pritchett the other day, he's got the connection to Line Teasley. It was his first offer out of high school. You got to believe that there's also going to be guys that are in the SEC programs right now that are kind of in the same boat, just because a lot of the guys in that conference are recruited by schools in that conference. So that'll be interesting to follow, to see kind of how they build out that room. I mean, you're going to have to get some portal guys, but I mean, I do think going forward, Nebraska just needs to do a better job of kind of growing its own.
BRUNTZ, if you were going to give an ingredient, I'm a big ingredients guy this week, whether it's recruiting, you know, an eval piece, or coaches, what they need. What do you think the coaches that are going to have staying power in this movement era that we've seen the last couple of years? Because we've seen it take its toll on some really, really good coaches. What do you think if they were going to get in the lab and say, "Yep, I need to build a sustainability suit"? What would you add to that suit if you wanted to be functional in this day and age as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably gets overlooked a little bit, more so in the portal era. But I mean, you just look at guys that are kind of the coveted, you know, assistant coaches around the country, and it's a really good mix of guys that recruit really well and guys that develop, because, you know, you think like, you know, you need to be personable enough. You need to be able to build relationships quickly. You bring guys to be able to bring quality guys into your program. I mean, and if you're able to do that, if you're able to also develop those guys and get them onto the NFL, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that feeds on itself a little bit, where you kind of become known as like, look, if you want to go to the league, this guy's going to get you to the league. And I think probably the qualities that allow guys to be good recruiters are sometimes also present in also being good developers, because, I think part of, developing guys is trust, and being able to find for players kind of what their buttons are to kind of get them to that next level. And I think, there's some overlap there, and I think I would say that. I mean, I think a guy that, can acquire talent, whether that's via the portal, whether it's high school players, those guys are certainly worth their weight in gold. And if, you're also a quality coach and teacher on top of that, those are the guys that, are going to be coaching into their 60s, just because there's always going to be a place at the table for a guy like that.
BRUNTZ, DB's been asking this question about kind of in different ways about, what you would want from a coach, or kind of the sustainability way they asked you. And I'm sitting here thinking, I answered previously that I thought it was kind of the ability to be relational. I'm sitting here now, though, and I still think that's my answer. But if I just knew my talent evals were just always on point, that's pretty hard to turn down.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, you bat a high percentage. Yeah, that would be something good to have too.
Especially when you're kind of working with a payroll.
No, but so the thing about that though is your environment, there's the freedom of movement. So you're not really, there's no guarantee. That doesn't mean you're going to have them a long time. It doesn't mean that they're going to be with you. It just,
but if that's like your superpower is talent evals, then I actually think that insulates you from some of the damages of player movement, because your next eval is just going to be good.
I think you got to be able to manage people.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't want me to talk you off of it, but BRUNTZ, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, with the portal and everything, like it's a player acquisition game now.
That's what I'm saying.
It always was, but I mean, it is more so now, I think. And I think guys that are really good at doing that, are going to thrive in a situation where finally, I mean, I know there's differences in NIL. I know everybody's playing with different war chests, but like you at least have like a flat number of like everybody's probably gotten this. Like those types of guys, are always going to find a place to land, I think, and are going to be really important. So, and I think you even heard Matt Rule, I think, said like, look, if you want to be a full-time assistant, you gotta be able to do both now. Like you can't just, do one or the other. And I know Nebraska, they're 10 countable recruiters they've sent out. Keith Williams is on a full-time coach, or Jamar Mosey. But, I think if you can kind of have the best of both worlds there, I mean, I think that's, like I said, I mean, I think the things that allow you to be good at both of those, I think there's a fair amount of overlap there.
BRUNTZ, I'm going to get you out of here on this. Nervous with the Jags, Chiefs, Chargers finish, or have you allowed yourself to feel pretty good about this Bronco bunch?
The Packer game made me feel a little bit better.
I was impressive. A tight line, not a lot of confidence, and I think it was what, one or two? I mean, it's basically a coin flip.
Yeah,
you controlled it.
I mean, I think Denver's a team, and the home field stuff is going to be just so important. Like, I mean, I think they're the type of team that can kind of front run and play well at home. I am a little bit concerned about down the stretch what that's going to be. Chiefs on Christmas night. I'm a little less scared now, obviously.
Gardner
I don't know.
Gardner Minshew is come on now.
Doesn't strike fear into your heart?
Not a ton, but it probably should. I mean, it's going to be a close game.
Are you just skipping past the Jags because it's at home?
No, I mean, I was doubling back to that. I mean, that one actually is probably the most concerning because they've just been quietly just killing teams.
Oh, like five or six in a row, is it?
Yeah. So I don't know. That one does worry me a little bit. It'd be nice if Denver could get a little bit of help around the AFC as well. But
what would you like? Was this like Nebraska volleyball fans cheering for Pittsburgh kind of help, or what kind of help would you like? Did you see that?
Chaos. I want chaos.
Why, Brunt? Nothing about your personality screams chaos.
I like a good dumpster fire as long as it's not my dumpster fire. That's basically
as long as you're watching from across the street.
Yeah. I got the binoculars out.
So, do you care about anything in the NFC? Like, do you want the Rams to win at Seattle, or are you just like, man, go Dallas, or who else could affect you? Go Cleveland. Because I think Buffalo's at Cleveland.
Yeah.
The Chargers are at Dallas. What else? What other kind of chaos could you have? I mean, Vegas isn't beating Houston. Now, Baltimore could beat New England.
Yeah. I think I was hoping for some help with making sure New England, is away.
That's the night game on Peacock. I think that's the Sunday night game. BRUNTZ, will you be tuned in? New England at Baltimore.
Yeah, laser focused. I'll be dialed in.
Dialed.
You're dialed.
I detect a note of sarcasm, but it's okay.
The Christmas game. That's on Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was trying to ask Kugler. I guess when you work in that job, you probably don't talk too much about that. But like, can you flex out of a Netflix? You can't. I mean, Christmas Day is Christmas Day. Like, those games are locked. They're horrible.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're probably stuck there. I feel like my grandma used to have like the back page of like the living section sitting next to the recliner.
Quietly, the best part of the paper, not named the sports, was indeed the living section.
But the TV listings, I feel like I need that nowadays, where it's like, okay, I want to watch this basketball game, and I'm going to what network now? And I got Netflix on Christmas night. Is there a Prime game in there somewhere?
I think there is, actually. I will say
that's Denver at Kansas City.
Yeah,
but Kansas City doesn't have Mahomes. Dallas and Washington is trash.
Correct.
And then it's Detroit at Minnesota, and Minnesota's out.
Bad.
Like, that's the slate.
But they're hanging on to JJ McCarthy, though, from what I understand, much to the consternation of people I talk to regularly.
Yeah, I'm back on the.
Maybe they.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Maybe they should.
McCarthy.
Maybe they should talk. Maybe they should try and find what Cade McNamara is doing.
What did I call him? I was all in on JJ McCarthy. Then in our group chat the last handful of weeks, did I call it? Was it McSucky?
I don't remember. It wasn't as good as your old Nebraska basketball player.
Oh yeah, that'll never be topped.
That was the best one you've ever had.
I'll share that with you in private, BRUNTZ. It's a little inappropriate.
It's not really inappropriate. It's just mean. It was accurate last year, but it's mean.
Yeah. I've grown up since then.
It's something I would say, BRUNTZ. If we don't talk to you, have a very Merry Christmas. Wish you and your family the best, and we'll talk to you.
Hey, what's the go-to coffee? What are you going to get? Oh, you're just black, right? I mean, not
yeah,
really, but kind of.
I got stuff at home. I just didn't have time to make it happen before I left. So,
how long does it take to make black coffee?
I don't know. It was chaos, Damon. It was just chaos this morning.
That's what you root for, but not in your own home. I forgot.
Exactly. Across the street.
This is my dumpster fire now. I don't like it.
I got you.
BRUNTZ, we will talk to you later. Appreciate your time as always.
Merry Christmas, guys.
You got it. You too, buddy.
Yeah, I almost made a joke there. I think it would have got me fired.
We flirt with that quite a bit.
That's the line we live on. It's a good place to be.
Is that a coffee joke?
Yes, yes, it was a coffee joke.
Oh.
You a big coffee guy, Shane?
No.
No? All right.
Not so much.
Well, there you go. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
I'll definitely say they've been great. Losing someone like Emmett, that's definitely something hard. Like that's my brother. You feel me? I over these last 2 years, I started to look at him like he was an older brother to me. So it's like even though he's gone, I feel as though it's a great opportunity not only for myself but for the other backs in the room. Like it opens up a big hole. Like I know it's big shoes to fill, but it's like we work day in and day out for moments like these. So it's like we just gotta take over the moment. Man, I could go on and on what I learned from Emmett, but I feel as though like definitely the most important things that I learned from Emmett is how to be a pro off the field. Like everyone thinks just being a football player it's what you do on the field, but it's also what you do off the field. Coming to meetings 10 minutes early instead of being the last person in there. Showing up to breakfast, being the first person in breakfast, being the first person in the weight room. Stuff like that. So I definitely feel as though like just being around Emmett for the last 2 years, like he definitely like taught me how to be more of a professional.
First off, I'll say how you guys doing. This opportunity means a lot to me. Watching Emmett all year was pretty, it helped me. Seeing him break tackles, finish runs, press vertical seams. It was definitely what I needed to see for this opportunity now. He helped me a lot. I was new to running back coming in this fall, so he was teaching me the ropes, teaching me the details of everything. So he's been a good mentor to follow behind. It was definitely humbling. Taking a step back, hey, I need to learn all of this, you know what I mean? Coming from high school, you're thinking you know everything, and then put in a situation where you have to learn again and watch the people in front of you. So I think it was kind of humbling experience, and I think it helped me in the long run for what I want to do in the future.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Good stuff there from Michael BRUNTZ. We got a good tweet that I thought I would share.
A good tweet?
Yeah. It was from, I believe you're friends with TG, right? That's your guy?
Oh, yeah.
Talking
about Jace's dad? Tony?
I don't know who Jace. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Jace, the meat packing plant guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's the pig guy, right?
Absolutely.
So he goes, what if Dylan Raiola is to rule what Bryce McGowan's was to Fred Hoiberg? Shows that top-end talent can come to Nebraska while at the same time reminding the coach of the type of player, traits, and system that had made them successful in the past.
I mean, maybe.
I thought it was an interesting analogy.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, hey, that's a secret.
Quit.
What?
No.
Quit?
Hey, that's a secret.
Quit.
Quit what? Why am I saying what like that?
I don't know. That's like it's just a habit for you.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You don't think so? You think that might be?
Yeah. So did you understand the lawsuit thing for the tax thing that
For Frost?
Was?
I believe I understand it, and so I have to be careful here.
Why?
Because I am always, you know how I feel about the man. I'm always going to read things in probably the least favorable light towards him possible, and I'm aware of that. It sounds like he didn't read his contract and what the terms were for Nebraska to dictate how the buyout was paid.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. They got to pick the duration. They got to pick when. They got to pick how. They got to pick almost everything, it seems like. And he's admitting that. He's admitting, at least in the reports, he's admitting
it was ambiguous.
That the language was ambiguous. But he signed that contract with, and I actually don't think the language was ambiguous. I think it was just not favorable towards him. Like, I don't think it's that ambiguous. Like, it's pretty specific. We can pay you in 25 or 26. It's kind of talked about, at least what's been reported, that we can put the tax obligation, whatever is beneficial for us. Like, I think he's just saying, oh, hey, this isn't fair. But it's like, it seems like you just didn't read like that part of the contract. That's what it seems like to me. But again, I am predisposed to think he's an idiot. So that I understand that's part of how I'm reading this. But that's what it reads to me, because it seems like he's admitting all the, like, oh, they told me it was going to be like this. I just don't like that now. He said there's an email that they were pretty clear about how this was going to be. And he's like, wait a second. Like, this means I have a huge tax liability. Well, yep.
I wonder what that is.
The tax liability?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, I think he's claiming it's $1.7 million in additional tax liability. But I don't know the way they phrased it. I don't know if he's saying he owed an additional 1.7 or that's the additional amount he was being taxed on. It'd be really hard to owe an additional 1.7, not impossible, but
I mean, your guy Nick Cage, right? Wesley Snipes, it happens.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But that's how I read it. And again, I'm going to read it probably in the least favorable light towards Scott Frost possible. I find it very hard to believe that Trev, for whatever issues I have with him, speaking of another guy I'm not going to really talk about in a favorable light most of the time.
You know, they just had breakfast. I think you should move on from that.
Listen, he can have breakfast with whoever he wants. I don't have to like him.
Well, if Coach Rule's not mad at, like, what? I don't. It's too much wasted negative energy.
No, I think it's well spent negative energy.
Okay. Sound like social media.
By the way, Nicolas Cage better than Wesley Snipes.
In terms of an actor?
Movie-wise, just better movies. And you got, what, 2 good movies for Snipes that you can think of? New Jack City.
Blade.
Major League. 3.
We're up to 3 now already, and I don't even watch that many Wesley Snipes movies.
That's because there's not that
So
many.
what are you rocking with in Nick Cage's catalog?
National Treasure?
Yeah, the National Treasure movies, Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's 2.
That's 3. There's 2 National Treasures.
Oh, you're rocking with all of them.
National Treasure was good?
The first one was good.
Yeah, they're both good.
First one's good. Second one's fine.
Some of the older stuff, Leaving Las Vegas, movies like that.
Oh God, that was.
Are you a big Raising Arizona guy?
Raising Arizona.
Was so depressing.
It is depressing, but it's a really good made. It's a really good made movie. it's made fairly well. It's a tough movie.
That is a tough movie.
Yeah.
Are you an Elizabeth Shue fan?
Yeah.
Big Karate Kid guy?
I haven't seen that since the 80s, so.
You got nothing.
I'm not a big Wesley Snipes or Nicolas Cage fan, so it's just kind of is what it is.
I don't like either, to be honest.
That's like asking me which cooked vegetable I want. Neither.
So
I'm
I like the movie with
I mean, he's a Coppola, so you gotta like that.
I'd give up forever to touch you, but I know that you feel me somehow.
Oh, City of Angels.
Yeah, I like that show.
Yeah, that's Goo Goo Dolls.
That's Meg Ryan, right?
Yeah, that's Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan.
Sky Mix likes Family Man. Thinks that's a good Nick Cage movie.
I saw it scrolled and knock it off with the genre of
Con Air,
the movies that it would give me, but he's in like this revenge movie too, where he's like this detective. I looked at it on my because you watched list.
I'm stunned that would pop up, but
well, Shane, you could vouch for me. There's cartoons on there too.
Yeah, and I like Wildcats too, so don't get me wrong with that.
So you have cartoons and murder movies. That's all we got.
That's about right. That's actually about right. Occasionally there's some sci-fi, like I like Alien and Predator.
Okay,
but that's right.
That's you like what you like.
Sometimes I laugh and sometimes I want to kill you. That's about right.
So you got Kenny over here
Exactly.
and then DB over here.
That's 100%. It is funny. Like I was Green Lantern Emerald City, and then it was
Nick Cage murder revenge movie.
Actually, probably worse than that.
No, I don't have to like him because he's a Coppola. There's lots of people from families that I don't like.
There's the Face Off movie for Nick Cage, but then White Men Can't Jump. That's Snipes movie. So
that's kind of that's a tough call.
I actually think they're
maybe they're
basically
about
two
the same.
sides of the same coin.
Who's made more money, Shane?
I would have to say
Probably Cage at this point.
Well, he's done a lot more
'Cause
movies.
when he
That's when you work more, you get paid more. That's kind of how that works.
when you
Not necessarily.
I mean, typically for normal people.
around
He could not be getting paid very much.
around 2000, he was getting paid quite a bit, like 10 or 20 million or whatever. So he had like 5 or 6 movies there that he probably got paid a lot for.
Well, you also get the National Treasure movies were pretty big for him too.
Yeah, that's that time period.
Wow, but more than White Men Can't Jump.
Looks like people are guesstimating 25 now. At his peak, it was about 150, but he lost a lot of that to some poor management.
Well, they both are in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm looking up Wesley now.
I like how you call it with a Z, Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley. Wesley's at about. This is the first time I've ever looked it up, and it was negative.
Oh, well, that's when you know the answer to that question.
They've got him at negative 9 million.
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough. I shouldn't laugh. That's never happened before.
That's his net worth.
They've got him at negative 9 million.
Oh, I guess you don't always bet on black then. Well, that's what it says on the thing there. That's what QB Lay says. That's that line from the movie, isn't it?
Oh,
Passenger 57.
pretty good, Shane.
Racist Shane from the top row.
Well, I guess you always bet on black then.
That's some stuff I would say.
Yeah, it is. Would you like to tell everybody about your coffee joke?
Nah, I don't have any coffee. I'm not a big coffee guy. Ice sometimes. I'll go iced coffee every once in a while.
Racist.
I was trying to get, the coffee protein shakes going. Trying to get a little more protein in my diet.
He said, well, yeah.
Guess you don't always bet on black.
Well, if you're
I've
at
never seen
negative,
anybody
if you're
in
at
the negatives
negative,
either.
if you're at negative 9 million, you certainly don't. Why would you?
Well, I mean, at some point.
It's freaking bad.
Are we really going to let him off the hook with that?
I mean, what am I going to do? I can tell how uncomfortable he is that he even said it out loud. You can hammer me for it because I don't care.
Oh, you know how we were talking about movies that have aged well and haven't aged well, whatever?
Yeah.
You know what I could always watch?
What's that?
I thought The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, that remake was fantastic.
Wait, the remake?
The first one, yeah, just The Fugitive.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, I don't remember. Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, Harrison. That's a good movie. I've probably only seen it a couple times, but
I don't care.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care,
dude. That movie is pretty good.
I really resonate with. Tommy
was on
Lee.
in Tulsa.
I really resonate with Tommy Lee Jones in that scene.
I like, of course, you do. I kind of a little mini crush on Tommy Lee Jones. I like him a ton.
Tommy Lee Jones is great. Did you see No Country for Old Men?
No, everybody, people get on me about that. It's fine.
I mean, listen, if you didn't like Inglourious Bastards, I have no idea what movies you're gonna like, so I'm not gonna try and suggest.
You act like Inglourious Bastards is like
it's
at
one
the
of my
pantheon.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It doesn't make it good.
I'm saying I don't have an idea of what you're going to like because I obviously like it a lot. And you weren't interested, so I don't know at this point. You're an enigma.
I don't like beer, Joe, so you don't have to worry about that.
But,
something else, we're good.
But no, Tommy Lee Jones he's really good in No Country for Old Men. I like him in that role a lot. He's good in a lot.
What was the premise?
It's kind of set in like 1980s Texas, where he's a small town sheriff, and he's basically out of his depth trying to deal with like drug cartels and things like that. And it's super interesting.
Is he a good guy?
Yeah, he's a good guy. It's a very realistic. You know how you see all these.
Why does this not surprise me that Juan said this?
What do we got here? My favorite.
Of course.
No,
she's like top 5 actresses to do racy scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen her in a lot of movies.
Sydney Sweeney?
I know who she is, but I don't think I've seen a lot of movies that she's in.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't name a movie she's in off the top of my head.
So she did an ad. She did an ad before. Was it the Super Bowl? What big event was there where she just did a commercial? And I'm like, who is this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember?
I think it was the Super Bowl. Because was it last year or 2 years ago?
She did like a promo.
Because at some point, this is how I feel.
Or was it before Nebraska? It was before something big. And I'm like, why is she doing this monologue?
Yeah.
She's like in a red dress.
I don't remember the specific commercial. I do know half the times when there's like a new celebrity, I'm like, I don't know who this person is at all.
Interesting.
Somebody in the office like a year ago was talking about Tate McRae, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either. Apparently it's a singer, but I have never heard a Tate McRae song.
Shane, who's the cartoon character that has half his face torn off?
Two-Face. That was Tommy Lee Jones.
No. Cowboy. Made a deal with the devil to come back.
Cowboy. It's like a superhero movie type thing, or is it?
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, like
almost
Ghost
like
Rider?
Ghost Rider, but
like
not
Ghost Rider-ish.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about, but what's that? Oh shoot.
Somebody just mentioned Josh Brolin, and that made me think of he played him in that character.
Yeah. That's not with Jeff Bridges, is it?
Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie. I heard it was terrible.
It was awful. It was awful.
That's the Megan Fox is in that one?
I sat through it because I thought it was just corny.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said Josh Brolin, and I knew he played Jonah Hex.
Apparently she's in Euphoria.
Never seen it.
I haven't either.
I've never seen it.
I've not. No. Young kids these days, you know?
Dude said although nobody's ever home. It's kind of weird these days.
The people got stuff to do.
Just me and Zoe.
Just hanging out?
Yep.
What's Micah doing?
I don't even know where he's been. He lifts a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell him to get after it.
Told me this morning I needed more lunch money. I said, stop eating.
Quit eating so much.
Yeah,
I ought to hit you with inflation, man. What are you going to do?
So I stopped at Pison's yesterday just to check on the guys, and I had to pick up some meat, and there's a distributor in there, and he was talking about like kind of the year and the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I didn't realize the magnitude from top to bottom, because I always look at it from, I only know the one angle, right? the beef industry, because that's what a lot of my buddies are in, right? And he was just he's a distributor, and he goes, it's just interesting how people spend money on necessities because of the year and how it's gone. And casually, and I could be off, I said, well, for most, isn't alcohol a non-negotiable? Is it not?
I think it depends on the person.
It just seems like when people say, well, I need maybe it's just stereotypical, like, I need my beer and cigarettes, or I need my.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's the one thing people. Now, maybe it's different in the restaurant industry because you have to have food costs.
Yeah.
But that you have to make. But don't. Like, I thought that was something people are not willing to go without.
Is it a thing where maybe they're drinking at home because it's cheaper? Like, it's not that they're going without. They're just not drinking at the restaurant.
I don't know, but isn't it expensive in stores?
It's still always cheaper than it is in a restaurant, right? Typically.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's where the difference is.
I've seen that Funky Giblets. That's one I've actually seen.
Like, so I wonder if that's what it is. Because I do think, like, I don't think of something as like, hey, if people are cutting back, I don't think like, oh, they're going to stop drinking.
Me neither.
Like, that's not a thing that I think of as a cutback. I wouldn't have called it non-negotiable, but I guess that's what it is if I think it's not something they're going to cut. But I think maybe they cut, hey, we're going to drink at home instead of at a restaurant because that'll save you money, typically.
Gotcha.
It also depends on what you're drinking, right? Like, a beer out costs less than like a mixed drink out. And I know you don't do mixed drinks, but like the markup on mixed drinks is ridiculous. Whereas the markup on a beer is a little bit more reasonable.
Ridiculous.
So maybe
it's a secret.
Maybe it's a like hard alcohol
That's a secret.
versus beer thing.
What did Dan say?
No,
I
That's
can't.
what I was doing.
I can't read.
He said I scale back alcohol purchases
At
restaurants if money is tight. Not buying that $55 bottle of wine at the restaurant that I can get for $30 at Hy-Vee or wherever. Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. On I'm Over It. I listened to.
Oh yeah, on the way in.
On the way in,
Costello.
He was Canty wanted to get a pool. Chris Canty wanted to get a pool funded for a $3,000 bottle of wine that he bought. He wanted for his anniversary.
Okay.
Or he's having a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, would I spend $3,000 to consume something?
Probably not. I wouldn't.
I can't think of what cut of meat, what grain of takaya. Like, what would be worth $3,000 for me to buy?
So I know you make fun of me a lot because I spend a lot of money like going out to eat and whatever, and you make money for other stuff too. But
yeah, I just picked that one.
That's the one that you pick on, or that's the one that's relevant here.
I really need my eyes checked. I told you my eyes hurt.
Yeah, go to.
No, I'm just running out of gas because I can't see, so it's frustrating.
Oh, okay.
I was like, we have more time to do on the show. I can't be here. I can't see.
I can't read.
Jeez, Juan.
I'm kind
Thanks
of
for your encouragement.
So honestly, this kind of wraps all the way back around to the return on investment thing that we were talking about earlier. Is like there's certain things price wise in my mind where I'm just like, that's not worth it. Even if I have the money,
yeah,
I'll just sit there and be like, that's not worth it.
Right.
I do that with clothes sometimes. Like it's probably because I was raised a little bit, but it's like I only buy clothes that are on sale, like almost exclusively, unless I have to have a certain like I have to have a shirt for this thing.
I'm like that with steak.
Like I know in my head what I think something is worth, and if they want me to pay more than that, even if I've got the money, no, I'm not going to do that. So to say like I can't imagine a thing I would spend $3,000 on to consume, and it's not because it's $3,000. It's because like in my head I can't imagine what that would be. That would actually be worth $3,000.
And I did this with Ryan once when he took me out. And I was like, I'm just not going to take advantage of it. I'll just get fish or something. Like the couple, Jan and Walt in Tulsa.
Oh, yeah.
Their son-in-law was an executive chef at a restaurant at Hard Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the 19th floor. And they had like, these Wagyu cuts. And they're like, oh, it's so rich and this, that, and the other. And I was like, even though it's not my money,
I think I'll just get the smoked double bone-in pork chop. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
didn't, because I knew I wasn't gonna get a steak, because I'm very skeptical about steaks out, because I do them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have dabbled in the. But I'm like, I just can't.
So
I
like,
don't know. That's how I feel about some seafood too. Like I've had really, matter of fact, Mike and I,
Mhm.
you know, boys at home alone.
Yeah.
We're doing fish sandwiches. Some of I got a little bit of fish left that came out of the cool. I've ran through that fish
Yeah.
that my buddy sent. Yeah. But I'm doing fish sandwiches. We're gonna do them out on the deck.
But like to the wine part, like I have a really hard time believing. So luckily,
$3,000.
Natasha and I have some friends that do very well, and sometimes they take us to places and buy us wine that we would never pay for ourselves, right? And
it's about the tannins, the age, like what are we talking about?
So here's the thing: is like at a certain point, and maybe it's just because I have like an unsophisticated palate, I can't taste the difference between like a $200 bottle of wine and a $500 bottle of wine.
So I wish
in quality.
I wish I wasn't such tequila honk,
Mm-hmm.
but I can.
So I can, and like here's the thing. There's
like I definitely have a breaking point.
But for sure. But
Like,
there's
Patron is slumming it.
There's tiers though, right? Like
Yeah.
I can taste the difference between like a $5 bottle of wine and a $20 bottle of wine.
I get that.
I can taste between like a $20 and a $50. I can taste between like a 50 and 100. I can taste between like 100 and 200. But there is a point where I can no longer taste the quality difference.
Well, I want to get to that point where I know what that is.
You know what I mean, though?
I just want to try.
Like there's like I've had, and I was like, and there's certain times where I know they've bought something that's like, hey, this is really expensive. Like I know it's expensive. I'm like, hey, you don't have to pour me a glass. It's probably wasted on me.
Is there anything that you've changed that you didn't think was worth it than it is now? Because I definitely have one.
So there's a couple. While I do still buy most of my clothes on sale, the price point of which I like, hey, this stuff just fits better or it lasts longer, like that's raised. Like there is a difference there.
What's the one thing that I complain about sometimes on how it feels when I wear them?
Shoes?
I cannot. I will pay for good shoes.
I've never done cheap shoes.
Because
since I've been an adult, I've never done cheap
hurts,
shoes.
right?
Yeah.
And I had the Liz Frank. Like I can't. That's one thing I cannot skimp.
Yeah,
on.
I will not. I mean, you know me. I don't cheap out on shoes. Like I'll buy nice shoes. I usually will still try and get a good deal on them, but I won't. Like I'm not going to go and get a subpar quality of shoe because that affects like your entire day.
So you think people that test and taste and do the whole wine thing can tell the difference between a $3,000 bottle and a $500 bottle?
So,
you know, Orlando.
Yes.
Orlando Pace. He would come here sometimes and he would get some wine from this
Mm-hmm.
from this place here locally. Zero free advertising. And I was just fascinated by like the palate.
Yeah.
So I think people that like do it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Like a friend of mine is a sommelier. Like he can definitely sommelier, not Somalian, sommelier.
I was like Jesse,
That's
the people that
Smollett.
they say pirates. Like what are we talking about?
Sommelier. It's a wine expert.
Okay,
that's like their official title.
See, guys, I'm not that smart.
So he can tell you like he's the guy that like will taste it and be like, this is from this region. It's made with this kind of grape. These are the notes you're like. He can do the whole thing, right? He'll get within like a mile of where that grape was farmed. Like
that is
it's wild, right? So he can taste the difference, but he will also tell you, I'm pretty confident, he will also tell you it's like a $3,000 bottle of wine isn't necessarily better.
So that's the thing. Like I could tell you the difference in
like
taste,
right?
or
but
quality,
it's not necessarily
but I can't tell you a price.
But not necessarily better.
Right?
That's like so. That's what I mean when I say I can't taste the.
Like why do I like Lalo? Well, I think Lalo is like the Tito's of
Mm-hmm.
tequila.
Yeah.
Right. Good price point. Really
good value.
Yeah.
Good taste for the value.
Yeah.
Right. But then you got like your high end.
But I if you gave me like, I don't know, like Butterfly Cannon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Reposado or Clase Azul. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm gonna say, oh, that's a $150 4-ouncer. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't do that.
No, but you'll do it the opposite way. You'd be like, when I taste that, you're like, I'm willing to pay X amount for that.
That's probably a good point.
It's not like you can eyeball or taste bud the price from it. You can just say, if somebody says, "Hey, that you like
is 7 and 5 worth $2 million?"
Yeah, you'd be like, no. Or you'll be like, hey, this is got the butterfly cannon. This one's $200 for that bottle. You'll either be like, that's worth it or that's not.
Yeah, that was worth it. In 20 minutes.
I think it was 30.
Is that segment all my fault?
Yes.
Everything's all your fault, Shane.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah. Wait, thanks for betting on black.
Well, not always, apparently.
Yeah, I'm out on Anejo.
Yeah,
out on Anejo.
I'm a Blanco or Reposado guy.
Out.
Not a big Anejo guy.
Yeah.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.
That's a tough question. You get the best available. I mean, is it a pocket guy? Is it dual threat guy? Is it a more of a runner? You look at the overall body of work, and it's just so different now. Where we're actively like watching quarterbacks and have been watching quarterbacks to try to make those decisions. We got a whole personnel department that's been doing it, and it's every position, and those guys have been doing that for months. And so then it's just about looking and seeing what's available, and my job's to evaluate it. My main job is to coach TJ and the rest of the offense to get us ready to go play in a bowl game. That's number one on my list, And so then, after the game's over, we'll come back and that portal will open up on the 2nd, and it's going to get kind of crazy for a couple weeks.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I think everybody knows, like, today's day and age, everybody has to do what they think is what's best for themselves. So, what Dylan had to do was him and his family believe was best for himself. So, everybody here is, no hard feelings. Everybody knows the business today's age of college football. So everybody's super excited for him to go out there and do what's best for him, and this team will continue to move forward with what they have to do in the future. Yeah, I think the rally around TJ started when Dylan got hurt. It doesn't really, nothing really changed. Everybody still knew TJ was going to be the quarterback for the bowl game, so nothing really changed in that aspect. So everybody's still been rallying around TJ, no matter what the circumstances is now.
Welcome to a little bonus Hurrdat Sports Live content. It's Bluejay Breakdown. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Ravi Lulla. JP, what's going on, man?
Not much. It's a little chilly outside, but it was certainly fun to watch the basketball last night.
Yeah, it was a little heated up between the men's and women's teams for Creighton. Let's start off on the women's side. They're coming off, as we mentioned, a couple of 40-point wins. This one, I guess just 40. Am I doing math? 44 for the women. I'm bad at math.
There you go.
Almost all of that margin was from the Gesser twins.
Yes, and so they played at Omaha, which one credit to Jim Flannery and working that out because he'll take games anywhere, and Omaha is obviously not in a position right now where you have to do that for them.
Sure,
but Flannery was willing to go play at Baxter, which it's an easy trip for a road game, I guess, from that perspective, but also it's not something you see happen a ton with the kind of higher level team going to the other local place. But it was kind of a cool thing that they kind of advertised it as Millard night because between the two teams, you've got grads from all three Millard schools. And unfortunately, Cora Olson, they announced early in the day for Omaha, the Millard South product, she is going to be out for the year, but Avril Smith from Millard North is starting. And then obviously the Gesser twins for Creighton. And the Gesser twins combined for 40.
That'll go a long way. It was so in a game like this where you mentioned the position that Omaha is in. Obviously, they're 1-11. That's not a team that's having a great year. Obviously, what can you take away from a game like this if you're Creighton, where you're kind of trying to figure some things out yourself? You're off to a little bit of a slow start this year. You're resetting with a bunch of new faces. What do you take from a game against a team that's not in conference and that's struggling themselves?
The one good to see Nora Gessert get going a little bit. Right now, it's a little bit of Kendall McGee, but Neela Gessert's kind of been their only real bench production from a point perspective, especially since Keani Locke went down and you've moved Ava Zedeker to the starting lineup. So it's good to see. Hopefully she can get some confidence. She went 5 of 8 from 3. So good for her to see some shots go in. 4 assists, 3 steals. So just kind of that's the stuff that she typically provides, and now you're getting some point production to go with it. So hopefully, I think confidence is the biggest thing to come out of this. Just to go out there and play so well as a team. And you look at it, Neela Gessert, her last 6 games, 13, 25, 12, 11, 8, and 25. Starting to become a little bit more consistent there.
Trending in that direction.
Yeah, and even games where maybe she starts out cold, she's getting enough shots attempt to shoot herself into it. And still finish with a good production for the team. And again, she's so important right now because of how shorthanded they are with Lockett sideline and Zedeker forced up into that role. So I think that's the biggest thing come out of this is just come away feeling good. Go out, play really well, have multiple players contribute, and now you can carry that over as they move forward.
As you kind of look at the schedule for the Creighton women moving forward, where are some opportunities you see for them to obviously not going to continue that level of performance, but continue to move in the right direction as they go DePaul on Saturday and then Seton Hall on Monday in kind of a short turnaround here. Basically, you've got 3 games over the course of, 6 days, 5 days, when you include the game last night before you get a little break at Georgetown.
Yeah, so DePaul is another kind of confidence builder game here. So they've got a chance to kind of make a nice little streak here, get things going if they can take care of that one. Seton Hall, that's going to be more of a prove it game. Like, okay, where are you now? Because they are off to the 7-3 start. They won their first Big East game. So that one's going to be a little bit tougher. And so we'll see. That's kind of, fortunately, that is at home. They've got a nice little homestand here where they don't have to hit the road until the end of the month. 28th, they're going to Georgetown, and Georgetown is another 7-3 team, but they dropped their opener. So I think we're still kind of outside of UConn. Obviously, we know they're over here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them. I think we're still kind of seeing where the rest of the kind of Big East falls into place here. And Creighton certainly, obviously, start of the season isn't what you would have liked, but if they've kind of figured some things out through that stretch, they've got a chance to kind of go out and win some games here and see if you can maybe be ahead of schedule for where you kind of expected coming in with so many freshmen.
Is there, so obviously putting UConn in their own category, almost their entire own conference, basically. Is there anybody you look at and you go, that team is clearly better than what Creighton's ceiling is this year? Anybody else in the conference?
Well, St. John's is off to an 11-2 start, and that's a team they've already beat.
Right.
So that and some of the wins that St. John's had, you're like, ooh, like we were talking about, that looked like a tough one for Creighton to kind of open up Big East.
Yeah, 100%. We talked about it last week.
Yeah. So with that being the case, I don't know. Like I haven't studied all these rosters.
Sure.
I've been able to see some of these other teams, so I don't know definitively about.
But just from what
who
we've
the
seen
next
so far.
is, but like, yeah, that St. John's win, I think did a ton for this team.
So 2 through 11 wide open, basically.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's got a chance to play out that way. Again, especially because of where UConn is compared to everybody else. So can you go and win on the road at these other top tier contenders? And Creighton's already got one of those.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any of us expected. And I'm sure
certainly not at this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm sure they went in confident, but they probably didn't like, oh, let's chalk this up as a win. Like that was, I think that was huge for the team to pull that one out and kind of have that feeling like, oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to wait. We've got enough talent here that we can go out and win some of these games.
Yeah, that would have been one that maybe by the end of the year, I'd be like, yeah, they figured some things out. They're playing good basketball now, but to come right off the rip like that is pretty impressive. Is there, I don't know why I was thinking about this, we kept talking about UConn. Is there an equivalent to the way this conference is structured on the men's side? Like the one that I kept thinking of is sort of like Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference, where it's like, although St. Mary's has been competitive, but for a while there was just like Gonzaga, and then no one else has a chance in this conference, and that's what it shaped. Like that's sort of how this feels.
Yeah, I haven't studied on some of the resumes. Obviously, Creighton's been kind of that team that's been up there, that's been a tournament team that has had enough talent to kind of be a factor.
I just mean over basically since UConn came back.
Yeah. So it's like this year, I don't know. Again, like Creighton's been nationally relevant during that time, while UConn still has been up here. But this year, I don't know if I think that might be a really good comparison there with Gonzaga
it's the only one I could think of, because it's a team that's like,
it is so unique. Like there's no other situation like that because every other program that's risen up, they've hopped to a major conference for the most part.
And it's super strange it's not just, hey, they dominate this conference. They are a real nationally relevant, obviously UConn is greater than Gonzaga, but like this is a team that you can get number 1 seeds, you get 5 stars, you get like, this is a real national program in a conference that no one's even in the neighborhood of. Yeah. It's a super strange dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. The difference there is Gonzaga kind of built that up, and then UConn obviously has been this no matter where they go.
For sure.
It just so happens that it made sense for them to be back in the Big East and where it is now. And so we'll see kind of how the Big East evolves going forward. Obviously, UConn's going to be there. It's can the other programs continue to rise up and make that less of a one-team conference?
Moving on to the men's side of things, as we mentioned, another 40-point victory for the Jays. This one on the men's side, 98-57, their win over Xavier at Xavier last night. DB texted us mid-afternoon yesterday.
About 4:30?
Yeah. Sure. And says, you guys know Creighton's going to win tonight, right? And I think I think Matt was the most optimistic. He was like, yeah, I could see it, but it wasn't a guarantee by any means. And I was like, do we know?
Yeah. And I was like, I certainly think they're capable of it, but I haven't been around enough to get any kind of vibe for whether or not things were moving in the right direction.
I think for me, so there were two things that gave me a little bit of optimism. One, Coach Mack saying, "Hey, I feel like I've got 5 guys I can play with," which I think is the first time this year he's felt that way. Is that he's got 5 guys that he feels like he can at least go to battle with. And last night it looked like more. And then I thought maybe the Xavier 5-game winning streak, 8-3 record was a little inflated.
Oh yeah.
So between those two things, I was like, okay, they could have a chance, but I've also seen this team look very, very bad.
Yeah.
So guaranteeing them winning anything felt aggressive. But obviously, DB's a witch or a time traveler or both. I don't know, but he nailed this one. And this was, pretty right out of the gate, like start to finish, end to end.
So, Eric Haslam Metrics has his own basketball stats, and he has a thing where it talks about games going analytically final when the score is so big that the rest of the game isn't useful.
No longer in question.
Yeah, and like it's garbage time. It's whatever. You don't include that in the analytics because at that point the game is already decided, and like you throw in some walk-ons, whatever. You stop trying as hard. Like it doesn't matter. This game went analytically final at the 12:18 mark. Creighton was up 71-36.
Oof.
So this was a 28-minute game, not even before Creighton is like, yeah, this game is over with.
Yeah.
So like that, yeah, and it was interesting. Like just listen. So you talked about kind of Mac after the Kansas State game.
Yeah.
And just kind of the like. It might have to be a short bench. Like I think found some guys in that second half there. That's something that we can work with. And then before the game, he said, "Well, a few of those guys that saw their minutes reduce had a couple good days of practice here. So gonna maybe go a little bit deeper, give them another shot here." And each of those guys went in and immediately made a difference as soon as they got on the court.
And looked like different versions of themselves.
Yes.
Maybe most important.
And then after the game, Max said, like, I maybe need to be a little bit more positive with this group. And so it's just interesting kind of seeing him figure out the way to manage this team. Because we know that's something that he's always been really good at, just managing a roster, massaging, figuring out how do I need to coach these guys. And I think it probably took a little bit longer for him to figure it out here. But that's, like we were wondering, like, all right, is the change, is that kind of a last ditch effort to like nothing's working here, I'm just going to try this, whether it was or it was just that calculated of a move, seemed to produce the desired results. Because Nick Graves came in immediately, 8-0 run
right off the bat,
and
looked way different.
And we talk about, like I've said this multiple times with Graves, whether or not the threes go in for him, like it's what it is. Like that, you can't let that cover up other things. And
but the shot selection was much better. That's a big part of it.
And even beyond his scoring, like his aggression, the decisiveness, getting downhill, the getting the ball out of his hands and making quick reads, like he just played with better pace and more decisiveness. Especially in that first half when he first came in, and then obviously banged up his wrist or finger or whatever it was there, and had to come out. Fortunately, he was able to go back in. Seems to be okay, but he was just dicing them up.
Decisiveness, I think, is a big thing because we see him get into the lane a lot, even when he wasn't playing particularly well, and it just not give Creighton anything, right? So I think a lot of that, he has this
like Austin Chapman kind of.
And you're just like, you get there, and then you're like, now what, right? And I think a lot of that is the decisiveness part that you talk about because, A, it allows the defense to regroup if you take too long once you've created that compromised position. But the other thing is, I think with his stylistically, he has drawn a lot of fouls throughout his career, right? That's part of what he does. If you're waiting to do that, you give up all other options, right? If you're waiting to try and draw a foul and trying to bait them, you give up any other advantage you have anywhere else on the court. And so you are left with, that's the only positive thing that can happen here. And then if it doesn't happen, you've wasted half of a possession trying to make that thing happen. And so whether it's, I said shot selection, I think you're more correct. It's just better decision-making in general. That includes shot selection, but that also includes getting rid of the ball as soon as you see an opportunity to create an advantage for a teammate, whether that leads to your assist or not. He did have 5 assists to go with his 12 points last night. You could tell immediately he was playing differently. And I texted the group because there is, and this is kind of the thing I wanted to get into. I talk a lot about like, hey, if I can't, like I get who the better players are supposed to be, right? If I can't win with those guys or I'm not winning with those guys, like give me a chance with the guys that are going to do the thing I want them to do, whether they're more talented or not. And I can at least live with, hey, if we're going to lose with guys that believe in the same things I believe in. And it sort of feels like that's the point Mac reached with the K-State game, where he's just like, hey, we're losing anyway. I'm not going to watch guys play crap basketball and lose. We're going to play basketball my way, and if we still lose, that's fine. And it really felt like there were certain guys, because you've coached, some guys respond to benchings and a threat to their minutes, and some guys don't. Nick Graves seemed very dramatically to respond, oh, playing matters to me. I want to be a part of this. I will figure it out. I will figure a way to get back on the court. And we saw that immediately last night.
Yeah, without a doubt. And for all three of those guys, again, the three guys that moved to the bench, Nick Graves, Blake Harper, and Owen Freeman,
all played well.
They all came in.
All played well.
So, like Freeman was part of that run that they went in with that Graves started. He had a couple buckets there, but defensively, he was really active. Mm-hmm. And then kind of was a beneficiary of some. It's funny, the one shot he missed maybe his easiest shot of the night. The ball just like flew out. I've been there. Sometimes the ball, you just don't have a great grip, and it just happens. Ball goes somewhere you're not expecting it to go. But it's still 8 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. Is it 3 assists?
3 assists
and 3 blocks. Like in 14 minutes.
Yeah, that's highly productive.
Yes, highly productive, and again on both ends. Mm-hmm. And then Harper got in there and 11 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists,
4 steals,
and ultimately overall the 2 biggest takeaways. And I mean, Max said first time in a while it looked like Creighton basketball, but the defensive activity and the ball movement.
Ball movement was huge
on defense. 11 steals and 4 blocks. Like they were in the gaps constantly. They're poking at the ball. Like I would be curious to know like what their deflections count was for that game, because Ty Davis flying around. There's one where they nearly have a backcourt and go up and save and just knocks it out. There's one where knocked it to somebody else and triggered a fast break. There's the one where he dove off the court and threw it back in off a musketeer to get an extra possession. So you got him flying around like that. You've got Harper poking his hands in there. Dix blocked a shot one-on-one. So like you just have so many guys that were and then Freeman again, like with 3 of those blocks, just going and getting the ball. Like they had so many guys that were active defensively, and that's Xavier's not great. And the shot making, like that's not gonna translate every game, but obviously seeing them go on an offensive run like this, like wow, that looks awesome. That's fun to watch. This is kind of what we've been waiting for. The defensive activity, I think, was the thing that maybe kind of the moves and the stuff that Mac's been talking about. Maybe that's where the kind of like, this is what I was trying to get out. This is what I was hoping to get out of this situation. And it's the message that most needed to be received. They climbed 25 points in defensive efficiency on KenPom on defense. Like they were 87th, I believe, going in, jumped up to 62nd. So that is a huge jump there. It's part of why they jumped 20 spots overall in KenPom. Just outside the top 50, I believe. Like they played really well, and it starts with that, and then they're able to get some transition off of their stops and their turnovers, and they shared the ball. 31 assists on 38 field goals.
So that's the thing that there were 2 things that you mentioned there. Number one, the activity on defense. I get that this is not the most athletic group in the world. I think they're maybe a little bit more athletic than we give them credit for, but I understand that they're not the freak athletes that some of these teams have, but they do have a decent amount of positional length. And I was expecting more of the deflections and defensive activity and stuff like that. I understood they were going to get beat some, but I thought they'd be able to make up with some of that with some positional length and be a little bit more disruptive, which we saw yesterday. And then the other thing was the 31 assists on 38 made baskets. That's a good ratio for any Creighton team that we've ever seen, right? And some of those that we saw were routinely, it would be seemingly half to 2/3 of their baskets were assisted on. We haven't seen that at all this year. And it's hard for me to think that those two things are not related, even if they're not directly related. You know what I mean? Like the mentality that allows you, like defense is a very selfless thing. And I think, go ahead.
No, you absolutely.
Oh,
I was just going to say, Mac highlighted the connectedness on defense.
Yes.
The 5 guys playing as one,
Mhm.
and that's exactly what that is.
And I think there's a mentality of it being a selfless game and a selfless attitude to say, hey, I understand that me being in this spot may not do anything for me personally, but me being in this spot helps my team.
Yes.
And that's true on offense as much as it is on defense. Sometimes you're the decoy. Sometimes you're the gravity. Sometimes you're just occupying a spot so somebody else can do their job.
And you have to do that, you have to be able to trust a teammate that is going to have your back, because if you leave your man to be in help and they pass it and the guy knocks on a wide open 3, like you're probably like,
it looks like it's your fault.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not necessarily.
Yes. So like that,
Yes.
the next, like it's
the trust factor has to be huge.
Yeah.
And then on offense, I think it's also true. We don't see it as
you make a cut.
Yes.
Someone will do that for me.
You trust that, if I do the right thing, the ball will come back to me and I'll still have my opportunities. You trust that I don't have to do everything. I think that's part of the Nick Graves thing, right? When we talk about decisiveness, he has to trust that if he gives the ball up when he's supposed to, they will get another opportunity to score on that possession, rather than, hey, if I don't do this thing right now, we're never going to get a shot up. So I better just do my best to try and draw a foul or whatever it is. Like it seems like different things, but I think the mentality that connects those two are very, very similar.
And Xavier is one of the had one of the lowest turnover rates in the country. So for them getting these steals and deflections and all this stuff, forcing 14 turnovers to a team that doesn't turn the ball over much, like that's huge. Now we'll both on both ends of the ball, we'll see moving forward, because Xavier very much kind of took the bait, and like their shot selection was awful in this game, and they certainly contributed to Creighton pulling away.
Yeah.
And I mean, they shot 36%. So, but
they were shooting the ball well coming into the game. This game though,
and
Xavier was,
and I thought it was going to be a fascinating matchup, because that's what they do. Threes, high 3-point rate, high 3-point percentage. They are not very good inside the arc.
Yeah, it's like almost half their shots are from 3.
Yeah, and so that's something that Creighton has traditionally been very good at taking away. Now this year is how much of it is Creighton actually taking that away versus teams knowing they can get something else.
Yeah.
But in general, teams had a low 3-point rate against Creighton. But we saw at Kansas State, there were so many defensive mistakes and miscues, and they gave up a lot of threes in that one. So coming off that game, you're wondering, all right, where are they in this regard? They've got to be locked in. And that's what Isaac Trout said after the game, is just like, guys have to be locked in the scouting report. What we're doing in practice has to translate to the game.
Yeah.
And that wasn't happening, obviously, at the start of that Kansas State game. And that wasn't like, that's the thing, like the lineup change, what they found in the second half, those same guys and those same lineups also contributed to digging the big hole, because they were making mistakes as well. So it wasn't just change starting lineup and now everything's fixed out with all those other guys. It was the whole team contributed to that. And then that group found it in the second half and found a way to get them back into it. And then I don't know how much the heavy legs played in that. Dick's not been able to hit that shot to tie it at the late.
Sure.
But just that's kind of the downside of cutting down things to such a short rotation, sticking with the same group, is you're asking them a lot. But
it's also the downside of trying to have to come back from a massive deficit.
100%. Yeah. You just no margin for error. But so like they found something there, but it had whatever they found there had to translate to the practice court and then go from the practice court to the game. And that's something that hasn't necessarily happened a lot this year. And so for them to be able to do that, and to whatever message Mac was trying to send with that lineup change and the rotation change and all that, at least for one game, it seemed like it was in the practices leading up to the game. It seems like that message was well received. And so now, can they carry that forward as they start playing some of the tougher teams in the Big East, which isn't going to happen just yet.
I'll say they've got a little time.
Yeah, Marquette's in a very bad place right now.
You bring up a good point, though, with like this is just one game, right? I don't want to overstate the sample size of what we saw. If Creighton's able to translate what we saw yesterday into future games, I like their chances to end up being a pretty good ball club. But you mentioned they do have an opportunity to kind of get their feet under them a little bit here. Their schedule coming up is Marquette on Saturday, Utah Tech on Monday, Butler on December 30th, and then they travel at Seton Hall on January 4th. That's their next 5 games. Like, Creighton's going to have an opportunity to try and continue to figure things out here, especially with the next 3 at home, and then before they head out on the road to Seton Hall. They've got an opportunity here to try and figure this out a little bit more.
We went a long time without talking about the star of this game, so we should probably do that before we get out
Schwartz,
of there. Yeah, not Schwartz, Swartz, which I will never understand broadcasters who literally mispronounce game over and over again when your partner is getting it right.
Yeah,
like at some point, do you not like to start the question like, wait, what is his name?
Like in a break, do you just check like, hey, are you saying it right? Am I saying it right? What's going on here?
I was a producer not on top of him on that, whatever. Like
pronunciation guides.
There's no H in his name.
Yeah, Schwartz.
And yeah, obviously Schwartz is a more common name that you see.
Yeah,
but look at it. There's no H in the name. Anyway, side note, I was just like driving me nuts. And he's not the first one to do it, but him. So we saw he was the one guy, like when they were trying to figure out the lineup, he was the first one to get benched, to lose the minutes. He was DNP CD in the Oregon game, and they went and won that game.
Yeah.
They decided, all right, it's getting too tough to split these minutes between Fedor and Austin Swartz, and neither of these guys are really getting going. And then so we made that choice for that game, and like, all right, we're just going to give all these minutes to Fedor. Austin, don't know what had happened in practice leading up to that necessarily. Been some talk alluding to maybe he wasn't didn't have the best practice habits or whatever, but so sat him down, and then Hudson Greer gets hurt, so plugged back in the lineup. They need him, they need the firepower, and since that game, over his last 4 has been in double figures every game. Obviously 20 went off for 27 this, which is
7 threes, like incredible.
You do something that Doug McDermott didn't do, like you broke a Doug McDermott record within the program, you're doing something. And he didn't break it, he shattered it. So it's points in a Big East debut. It was 19 for Doug McDermott, and Ryan Hawkins were their previous high in Big East debut for Bluejay. Went up,
and both of those guys were seniors when that happened.
Yeah,
not
sophomore.
Yeah.
But again, it's continuing a trend. It's not just one game. Obviously, the 27 and hitting 7 threes is one game.
Yeah, but he's been playing better.
Yeah, but over his last 4, 16.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.3 assists, shooting 42% from 3 on high volume. That's 16 threes he's made over the last 4 games. Obviously 7 in this one, but and I mean when you're so hot that you're throwing a lob into the basket, like that's the ultimate heat check. Okay,
trying to throw a lob to somebody and just cash us.
Yeah, that was crazy. And so just talking with the staff before the season,
we had heard them talk about his ability.
Well, I'd seen it myself, like going to practices, like the tail end of the summer and then into the fall practice, like, oh, he might be playing like their best guard on the team right now.
I think I had texted you guys after I had done some scout on him when he committed. I was like, oh, this guy's super talented.
Yeah. He was top 60 recruit, whatever he was in his class coming out, obviously an up and down first year in Miami in a disaster situation. But he was a guy like talking to one of the staff members. It's like, hey, look in the future of this program. The most important guys to keep are. He was one of the 2 names that I was given.
Yeah.
So like, that's
if you ask me that question, the names I would give you are Jackson McAndrew, Hudson Greer, and Austin Swartz.
Yeah. That's
the list I would give you.
That's pretty much in terms of long term and
over the next couple of years.
The 2-3 years. Like those are the guys. So he wasn't playing like that early on, obviously, and like whatever he was doing in practice hadn't translated to the game, and it was limited minutes, whatever. You only get maybe 1 or 2 shots and you don't hit it, then you're kind of the confidence isn't there or whatever. So it is tough in a limited role to kind of play yourself into some confidence. But since that benching, he's come back and he's been an instrumental piece for this team and given them a chance. And then obviously went out and was the biggest reason for this win individually. And I mean, you look at it's the 27 he got. He had 2 transition layups. He had that lob that went in the basket, and then 7 threes, and they're spot up. They're running off screens.
all sorts of different
off the dribble.
Yeah,
like he's showing the shot versatility that he's not just a spot up shooter. Like he's a guy that can go get a bucket. There's the very first possession of the game, late in the shot clock, to move it around. He gets it, just had a hand in his face, rose up and knocked it down to get them started. So that's, if he can continue this moving forward, like that's a huge development for this team this year and moving forward.
What's a number, not to put you on the spot too much here, but like obviously 27 isn't going to be the norm for him. Like where is that number for you? Like if they can get, hey, we get 12 points a game out of Austin, and then we feel like we've got a shot, or like that's a good place for him to be consistently at. Like, do you kind of have that in your mind? Is it like 12 to 15, somewhere in there?
I think so. Like it's kind of over the stretch. It's been
16 and a half, right? For over the 4. It was 11, I think, 11 per game before the 27.
Yeah, it was like 13 or whatever.
Yeah, it might have been 13. Yeah.
But dang it. My phone's being dumb. Anyway, but just like steady, it was like 11, 16, 11, whatever it was, and then obviously the 27. But again, just getting that double figures where he's either giving you 3-4 threes in a game, or if the 3 isn't falling, the ability to go get a mid-range or go out in transition, finish at the bucket. You're just looking at 2 to 3 threes a game, 4 on the high end, and then 2 or 3 twos. Get a layup in there, maybe a mid-range mixed in late in a clock or whatever. Like you get that from him again. You get just that 12 points.
Yeah.
I think that'll be big for this program, because I think in a game where Swartz isn't taking 17 shots, you're going to get more from Josh Dix.
Yeah.
You got 36 between those two. Like that's a decent number. Like if honestly, that's a really good number.
If you told me between Josh Dix and Austin Swartz, I would take 32.
Yeah.
If you gave me 32 a night from those guys, I'd feel like I'm starting in a pretty good spot. And then you start to sort of build things around them. But like that's, if you can get north of 30, anywhere north of 30 with those two guys on any given night, I feel like you've got a shot.
100%. And so that's huge for, I mean, Dix is 3 of 4 from 3 in this one. He's been shooting at a really high clip over the last handful of games. Like obviously after the slow start, been climbing every game since then. On a great start now. So it seems like he's kind of settled in. Max said they're asking him to do too much with having to be their leading scorer and their best perimeter defender and playing 30 whatever minutes.
And sort of being a primary ball handler for stretches. Like there was a lot.
So getting Swartz to be a more viable and consistent part of this, I think will take a lot of pressure off him, and you can kind of let him focus more on what he needs to do in this specific game. And if it is a really tough defensive assignment, maybe Swartz steps up and takes some of those shots that you would normally need Dix to take.
Yeah.
And you're getting him some really good looks, and those are the ones instead of having to create his own as often as he sometimes does. So, yeah, like Swartz, we'll see another week or two for Hudson Greer, I think.
Well, I was just going to ask. It sounded like he was going to get reevaluated at the end of this week here. They're still hopeful he'll be maybe by the time you get in like to the heart of Big East play, the start of the year, maybe somewhere in that range.
Yeah, something like that. So then Mac talked about it a little bit on the radio beforehand. Right now, stationary shooting is all he's doing, but it's out of the boot. He's doing some bike work and stuff with Jeremy Anderson. And so it is making progress.
Progressing,
obviously not as fast as fans would like to see.
Sure.
But that is a potential factor to throw back into this mix, which, again, they'll have to figure out rotation, who's starting, all this stuff once you do get him back in there. But I think you'd rather have to incorporate him in as opposed to figuring it out without him, which is what they've had to deal with in all these previous changes. So hopefully reinforcements coming, and if Swartz can carry this play forward, you have Dix playing confidently, and Freeman every game maybe getting a little closer and closer to where he can be a more significant factor here. You've got guys, Jason Green, Isaac Trout. How crazy that they won by 41 points on Isaac Trout's birthday, obviously number 41.
We love it.
That is bizarre.
We love it.
That's a good way to
good way to celebrate.
Yes, for sure.
100%. I mean, it's I don't know if it makes up for having to spend your birthday in Cincinnati, but
fair.
It certainly helps. Probably certainly helps that a little bit. Jacob, did we miss anything?
I don't think so. We got obviously a few games coming up over the holiday break before you and I we'll get back to this. Hopefully we'll be talking about a win streak when we get back in front of you.
From your lips to God's ears. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Ravi Lulla. This has been Bluejay Breakdown. We will join you probably in a couple weeks to recap what's been, like you said, hopefully a little hot streak for the Jays. That's all we got for you today. We will talk to you on Hurrdat Sports Live tomorrow morning, right at 7 a.m.